Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Warm welcome to you at our Tili Center. My name is Christopher Lelbiagnia. I am the secretary of Tili here. If we are all ready, we would like to start our brainstorming session. The Y20 brainstorming session is one of the 11 engagement groups under the G20. Which India is privileged to hold the presidency for this financial year. Our distinguished keynote speakers, our delegates, our special invitees, and most importantly, our chief guest. I welcome you all to this brainstorming session. First and foremost, let me first highlight the key initiatives of that we have here at Tili. Under Tili, we have different engagements and initiatives that we have undertaken. We have recently signed an agreement with the Department of Labor, Employment, Skill, and Entrepreneurship Department of Mizoram. So we have our LESDE secretary with us as our chief guest. It's an honor for us to be hosting you today, sir. And under Tili, we also have our Tili Entrepreneurial Mindset Committee, where we drive the youths, the school students, particularly. We try to foster a community and a mindset of an entrepreneurial mindset. And also we have recently been recognized under the Startup India cadre. We are among the 4 incubators in the whole of Northeast. So our topic for today is the future of work, Industry 4.0 innovation and 21st century skills. In the 21st century, we find ourselves at the crossroad of unprecedented technological advancement and transformative societal changes. Industry 4.0 is a digital revolution that has reshaped our societal trajectory, and the profound innovation is currently challenging our perception of traditional employment. So as we gather here today, I would like us all to, representing the brightest minds of the state, I would like us all to ponder on the Industrial Revolution and accept that it's not mere buzzword, it's a testament of the dynamic fusion of cutting-edge technologies under artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and robotics. And this is, we expect the trajectory to have a profound change on the skills required and the way we interact with our ever-evolving environment. So while these developments promise tremendous benefits, they also raise an essential question that we must collectively answer here today. So how do we foster the growing technology, harness the technology, while at the same time we ensure that this technological advancement do not create job displacement? How could we ensure that there is more equitable society and there is more job creation instead of job displacement? So how can we prepare the youth of the 21st century to be part of this technological revolution, especially in the perspective of the state of Mizoram? So throughout this event, we shall foster an atmosphere of open dialogue. We have our keynote speakers to guide us through our different topics. And by combining our diverse perspective and experience, let us aim to uncover innovative solution and concrete action plans that will guide the state and our community towards the future. We cannot afford to shy away from these the complexities that lie ahead of us. In fact, I believe that we are at a pivotal moment, pivotal juncture as a state, because if we play our cards right, we have the opportunity to change the trajectory of the economy of the state, because we have missed the first three industrial revolution. Let us not miss the fourth one. We can become a technological service provider. We are at a remote state, but we have our human capital. We have high literacy. Let us take advantage of that. Let us be. There is a huge opportunity in the fourth industrial revolution. We can develop technology around that. The Internet of Things, robotics. These are not some skills that are not out of reach of our youths of today. So let us be the technological provider and not a mere consumer of technology going ahead. So I have every confidence that the collective brilliance of our delegates gathering here today, that we can illuminate and together forge a world that thrives on the pillars of the Industry 4.0, innovation and the 21st century skill. Thank you, and let the brainstorming begin. Okay. Yeah, so I would like to invite our consultant from the Ministry of External Affairs, Mr. Ali Said, to take it forward, and also our chief guest, Puram Sanga, to come after Mr. Ali.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here. A very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Fela, for giving us this opportunity to partner for this brainstorming session. We have done 20 in the series of these brainstorming sessions being organized by the Ministry of Youth and Sports as part of the Y20 engagement group. As you all are aware, G20 has become a year-long, in some sense, a festivity of diplomacy and policy making. And the idea here is very simple. We want to reach out and kind of reverse engineer the policy making mechanism. The idea is that we want to get the right kind of information, the data from all parts of the country, and eventually feed it into the policy ecosystem, therefore come up with an inclusive policy that is going to be relevant for your region, for your people, for your community, for your state. Inclusivity has been at the center of G20 right from the beginning, as the Honorable Prime Minister envisioned it to be. We are covering almost all facets of diplomacy, policy making, from climate change to women empowerment to going all the way to labor rights to human rights. And the idea behind this is very simple: to cover as much as we can in a year's period, while we have the best case practices coming to our country from all over the world, from the G20 countries, which operate almost 85% of the global GDP. So the group of 19 countries plus European Union, which India is also part of, not the European Union, but the group of 19 countries, operate most of the trade that is going on, and in all likelihood may also decide the future pivot for Industry 4.0. So here we are in Aizawl, in Mizoram, courtesy to Tili, organizing this brainstorming session with an illustrious panel that we have here. Hopefully we can have a host of questions coming, emanating from the audience here, and make it as participatory as possible. And looking forward to a great session. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone. I would be taking a little more time than the earlier speakers because I've prepared quite a lengthy note which I will try to summarize within 10 or 15 minutes. It is a great honor and privilege for me to be invited to take part in this brainstorming session. It is said that the future belongs to those who plan for it. This is one such initiative, one such brainstorming session, where we'll be planning for the future of the youths of our state, exchange ideas, and we'll all come together to some positive solution, which hopefully will have an impact on the policy makers in our country, for RIS, for the G20 in itself. I believe that this is the second Y20 under the aegis of G20 meet in Aizawl. And we expect the G20 Secretariat to host more such sessions in our state during India's presidency, which is coming to a close very soon. I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers, the G20 Secretariat, RIS, which is the premier policy think tank institute in India, to the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs, and to the Tili Entrepreneurship and MSME Center, which is being manned by a very dynamic team comprising Mr. LTL Fella, the chairman, Mr. Mark, the CEO, Mr. Christopher, the secretary, and we thank them for providing this platform. And through meaningful dialogue and discussions, we hope that a new chapter in the development of startup entrepreneurship ecosystem in the state will come about. The future of our society rests on the shoulders of the young generation. The development and growth of the youth is not a one-time event. It requires personal, academic, social, and professional growth. It is about providing young people with knowledge, skills, opportunities, and support systems so that they can reach their full potential and contribute meaningfully to the society. I would like to highlight a few bits about Mizoram. Mizoram is a young state, and it is situated in the remotest part of the northeastern corner of the country. We have a population of around 12 lakhs. We have a very young population, and the state working force, the state working population is around 5 lakhs, and we have around 6.5 lakhs comprising the young population who are not of working age, and then we have a large number of educated but unemployed and underemployed youths whose future we have to deliberate upon today. In fact, we have a highly skilled workforce in our state, in nursing, in healthcare, in hospitality industry, in textile, fashion designing, in IT, in music, in food processing, in handloom, handicraft. We have a lot of potential youth population, but we have yet to fully harness their potential for the overall development of the state. Dear friends, we are living in an age of unparalleled technological achievements. They are changing industries and societies at a very fast pace. Industry 4.0, the topic of our discussion today, is driven by technologies such as AI, IoT, robotics, and so on. They have the potential to transform manufacturing industries, e-commerce, businesses, governments, individual lives, leading to new jobs, greater productivity, efficiency, and innovation. They are truly called disruptive technologies because our everyday life is disrupted by these new age technologies. However, in developing countries, implementation of Industry 4.0 faces several hurdles. While they promise opportunities for economic growth and improved living standards, They bring challenges such as the need for skilling the workforce to adapt to the changing demands of automation. WEF, World Economic Forum report for the year 2023, which was released quite recently, suggested that almost a quarter of the jobs, the present jobs that we are having, that is around 23%, are expected to undergo drastic change in the next 5 years. They also reported that 14 million jobs will be removed from the industries in the coming 5 years. More jobs will be lost than created. Whereas AI-related jobs like machine learning specialists, big data specialists, cybersecurity professionals, and related jobs will see a threefold increase in the coming decades. According to the same report, no less than 54% of all employees, current employees, will require significant skilling, reskilling, and upskilling to meet the demands of the new age jobs. There is a potential for displacement of jobs due to increased automation in all countries, whether developed countries or developing countries. Therefore, it is extremely important that we prepare the youths of our country to make them ready for the jobs of the future. We must, however, acknowledge that impact of Industry 4.0 will not be uniform across all countries. Developing nations will face hurdles like access to training, access to new technology, inadequate infrastructure, and a widening digital divide that has to be bridged. Of course, in Mizoram, we have a quite developed air connectivity and roadways. And we have the upcoming railway connectivity that may be commissioned by the beginning of next year. And we also already have 5G connectivity, at least here in Aizawl, Mizoram. And 5G connectivity will be expanded to all the district headquarters within a few months. Those are the signs of development that we are witnessing in our state. As Delhi has proposed, BPO with the help of 5G speed network may be a potential reality in the coming months. In the light of the situation, it is imperative that we prioritize more and more investment in quality education and skill development. India, as we all know, has the largest population in the whole world. With 65% of its population under 35 years, it is the youngest nation in the world. However, less than 10% of the population in India, the working population in India, are trained in employable skills. The formal education that we are trained in is not enough to equip us for employment. The vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat is to aim at leveraging India's demographic dividend to achieve self-reliance and economic empowerment. This requires equipping young people with digital skills, with technical skills, and entrepreneurial mindset to thrive in the rapidly changing world of work. In this respect, the NEP, New Education Policy 2020, provides integration of vocational education with mainstream education. This is a welcome step, a very positive step for the development of skill and entrepreneurial ecosystem in the country. Another initiative is the Skill India mission under the Ministry of Skill Development, which was launched in 2015, which aims at imparting employable skills training to 40 crore Indians across the country to meet the market industry demands both in India and abroad. Let's look at the situation in Mizoram. I'm talking about the initiatives of the government, the central government, as well as the state government. In Mizoram, we have the Pradhan Mantri Kausal Vikas Yojana, a flagship scheme under the Ministry of Skill Development, which has imparted training in various job roles, training from beauty culture to carpentry to electrical repair to computer operation. In various job roles, they have trained 13,000 youths in the state, and 6,097 has got placement till date. Likewise, DDU GKY and DAY NULM are other skill training initiatives under several ministries which are imparting skill training to selected beneficiaries. In the government ITIs, we have the triple E module, which stands for Education, Employment, and Entrepreneurship program module, which is providing soft skill training for job preparation. The ITIs, we have 3 ITIs in our state. They are providing substantial number of skilled workforce to the automobile companies, to workshops, to electrical, electronic repair shops, to the beauty industries, and several others in our state. Very soon, AI courses will be introduced in the state ITIs, sponsored by the Ministry of Information Technology. And 5G technician courses are also slated to be introduced in the next session. Drone pilot courses are also slated to be introduced in the polytechnics and ITIs very soon to meet the growing demand of the market. One initiative of our state is the Mizoram International Center for Innovation and Skills Excellence, which is being set up with support from the National Skill Development Corporation with Medhavi Skills University. The center will focus on overseas job placement and will provide certificate and diplomas in courses in hospitality and tourism, which are in high demand abroad. In spite of all these initiatives, I would like to mention here that the aspiration for skill training, for entrepreneurship, for TVET courses, technical, vocational, and educational, and engineering training courses, is still very low in our state despite the rising unemployment. We have to take all possible steps. All stakeholders have to take collaborative steps to change the mindset of the youths in our state from merely aspiring for government jobs, which are in any case in short supply, to self-employment, small business, startups, and entrepreneurship. This is the way to go for the future generations. There are some useful government initiatives like myschemes.gov.in. I request the students who are present here today to visit this website, myschemes.gov.in, which is an online portal from the central government, which provides 895 government schemes, providing training, employment, loans, etc. It's a one-stop solution for getting government support for the aspiring entrepreneurs. Another useful government initiative is National Career Service Portal, ncs.gov.in. This is an online employment exchange platform for the job seekers and job providers. And it also provides free career training modules sponsored by Microsoft and TCS, ncs.gov.in. At the state level, my department has launched the employment exchange portal, mpex.mizoram.gov.in, EMPEX. This is for employment registration and a one-stop solution, just like the central portal. This is a one-stop solution for job seekers and job providers, employers. 2 lakh Mizo youths have registered in this portal, and till date, 100+ jobs have been posted in this site. Looking at the current dismal scenario of our state, at the unemployment scenario, there is an urgent need to foster an environment that encourages innovation and entrepreneurship. Startups and small businesses are recognized as the engines of economic growth, and they play a crucial role in providing employment. The Startup India scheme under the DPIIT is an important initiative that provides a number of benefits to startups, such as tax breaks, easier compliance to rules and regulations, and access to government fundings. It also provides incubation support. Dili is one such incubator registered under DPIIT. It also provides acceleration support, networking, and mentorship support. This is an important initiative of the central government which we have to popularize among the youths in our state. Currently, there are around, if I'm not wrong, there are around 300 startups in Mizoram, and they're in various stages of growth and decay. Some are barely functioning. Dili, as a recognized startup incubator, has a very, very big challenging role to improve the startup statistic in our state. They have a very big, important role to play. The state government has organized several startup and innovation competitions, business plan contests, skill and entrepreneurship awards since the last few years. However, these initiatives are not enough. They are not enough to change the mindset of the young population. Much more needs to be done by the state government, by all the stakeholders involved to change the ecosystem, to create a new ecosystem that will benefit the youth of the state. Collaboration is key in tackling the challenges faced by youths in developing countries. The governments, the businesses, industries, the academia, the skill training centers, incubators like Dili, we all have to come together to create a supporting ecosystem that fosters innovation, knowledge creation, and resource mobilization. We need more IEC activities, information, education, communication activities in our state to spread awareness on available benefits. We need more IEC activities. In conclusion, through these events and the deliberations that we'll be having, I sincerely hope that we can create a new beginning, a new start to empower the youths to become drivers of change, creators of employment, and catalysts for sustainable development. Let us seize this opportunity to shape a better future for the youths of our state and for our country. I wish all of you to have a very fruitful and productive discussion today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Saramsanga is like one amongst the vibrant leadership we currently have right now in our midst, and we are so fortunate to have him. And the way, if you are listening closely, the address he made were quite on point regarding unemployment, employment, and skill development, which he is currently in charge of. Thank you so much, sir. Today, we have him, and then along with Mr. Ali here, a very vibrant leader from the RIS, Ministry of External Affairs. We thank you for making this happen. So I'm just doing that part, redoing a little bit. And a few things regarding our interactions over today. We have a timer over here, so which we will have to monitor a little bit for the speakers to note going forward, because we want a very interactive session to happen today. All the people who come here today are expected to speak. None of you sitting right over here should be leaving the premise without speaking today, because the whole purpose of inviting you all is to speak, not just to come, sit, listen, and go back. That's not what we're going to do today. So you're all going to participate. So do make it a point that you make some notes, and that part I just want to mention before I start introducing our keynotes and all. So that's one point which I just want to mention. And then also that this event is live right now in Ministry of Youth Affairs YouTube channel. So please note that. We should all know that. And if you want to share with your family or anyone, I think that will be good. And I would request Zira sir to please share the link with them so that they may share, or it's live. It's there in our IG account. So maybe you can go grab it from there and maybe share. As I was saying, today we're going to stress a lot on the discussion bit of it. Our keynote speakers here. Sadly, one of our keynote speakers, Mr. Jonathan, could not turn out today because his daughter is in the hospital right now. So therefore, an extended period of around 2-3 minutes will be there for each speaker. Mr. Dinkima was suggesting to be 7 minutes. He said more of interaction is important. And then, but now they'll each have 10 minutes. And then before I go to our keynote speakers, we have very, very special guests today. I would just like to introduce them a little bit. All of us are special, but then a little bit of people who have achieved something in their lives. I would start with Mr. Mapuya. I'll just request him to stand so that we all have a look and let's clap our hands. He's the director in Zonet and Vang as well. Mr. Kima. He's really like the trailblazer in the Mizo internet ecosystem. People who are little in the older age will definitely know him because he goes as Mizohikan. That's his pen name, and is like many of you may know him. So he's going to speak a lot, so I'm just going to say that up ahead. And Puniki, he's from Ava and Sons. He's like into trading and all, like finance, and he's like a guru there. So. Yeah, and then two of our other special guests are yet to come. Hopefully they should be coming. P. Angela, director of Let's Day, and Miss Ruth, who is still yet to come. She's like functioning in the NGO space in Delhi. However, what we're trying to achieve today is trying our best to have a good discussion regarding Industry 4.0. And also, if you see there, we have written global level growth prospect for youth from developing and remote areas. What we're just trying to say here is that we want growth not only to the state level, not only national level, but why not global? As our secretary started over saying that we have skipped 3 industrial revolutions. We are in the 4th one, which is like empowering to all of us in terms of digital empowerment. Why not capitalize that as much as we can? Be it AI, be it ChatGPT, we so-called. See, Saram Sangha was addressing regarding the job unemployment, which happens whenever there's something coming along, when technology comes along. GPT is basically general purpose technologies. That's what it means. And then whenever GPT comes along, some part of the workforce, let's say, for example, the Industrial Revolution, where we have the printing press and the steam machine, all those made a lot of jobs, it killed a lot of jobs, so to say. But it created a lot of opportunities as well. It always kills the people who are not skilled enough to cope up with that development. So we should be in a state where we cope up with that kind of development, our GPT, which is right now artificial intelligence and industrial 4.0. So I would highly, highly urge for all of us sitting here today, we discuss on points, how can we make our society, our youth, get to the next level industry 4.0 adoption, and maybe our startups as well. As Sir was mentioning, from here, we're trying to, as a tele incubator, we are trying really hard, we will be trying really, really hard to get to the national stage, international stage, because having a startup here in this ecosystem only is not going to make any sense for us. We are barely 10 lakh in population, which is not enough for anything actually. So, and majorly our population lies around Aizawl, which is around like 5-6 lakhs maybe. Of those, the children are there, the elder ones are there, so we can't really make any big market out of it. So we have to think slightly bigger than what we are today. So I think today we have to think on those lines of what can we do. And just to introduce a little bit of the invitees which you have over here, there are a few people who are curriculumly quite savvy, and then more of the people sitting here are from Patsung University College, Government Aizawl College, and Shangbana College. So we have invited the very, very selected few. So we told the faculties and the in charge that we only want people who can speak to come. We don't want anyone who cannot speak and contribute to come. So you came representing your college, so you are expected to contribute to the highest level so that we are not being shamed nationally in the television and well. So I would request, highly, highly urge, because this thing is going to go there, be on the channel for the longest period and time. So that's my request. Now, without further ado, I will introduce our speakers. They'll be speaking each for around 10 minutes. We guys all note, and then we will have a very good discussion round after that, and then we'll have some high tea and all, which hopefully will be awesome, reason why we will address later. So yes, first of all, I will just introduce our speakers. Anyways, they're going to come, so let them not stand up. Mr. Dinkima, who is sitting like this next to our chief guest, is again I would say a very prolific profile from Mizo society. In fact, his profile is so high level that more of us don't even understand what he does. So that high is to keep into simple terms, of course, it's way more complicated than that. He is into policy, talking with policymakers cross countries. and then trying to create a better future and all. And importantly, if I'm not wrong, he may correct me once he comes stand up, world peace, world order, and those are the things he's talking about, big stuff. So it's like very, very big, okay? Yes, and then next is Miss Rokimi. Miss Ruth here. Yeah, so she's like a big, she's also very, very good profile, but then somehow she's staying here in Aizawl right now. We don't actually know why she's staying. She's running some good business, but then she's into like equity research firms and all. She was she was working in the States, US, doing some equity trading with one amongst the top firms and all of that. And next is Danny Marr. He is he's going to be an amazing profile. He's building his profile right now as we speak. He's from IIM Ahmedabad. He's with Browser Stack right now, one amongst the strong startups which you have in the current ecosystem. And then I'll just introduce Ms. Ruth as well. She just came. I think everyone saw, so that's another special guest we have today. So without further ado, I would request Mr. Dinkima and Mr. Rokimi and Mr. Danny to have your presentation. We all make our notes as good as possible, and then we have a very good discussion round after that. Mr. Dinkima, please. Discussion.
Okay, I wanted to keep it as informal as possible, so I was requesting that we sit. But nonetheless, here we are. Before I start, I would like to express my deep gratitude to Tili, RIS, and through them, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Foreign Ministry. I wish to express pleasure in associating myself with everyone who has a care and concern for the development of youth, including those from remote and developing places like Mizoram. India is taking its place in the Committee of Nations. A new India is building, and therefore it is extremely important that this development is inclusive and sustainable. A team is only as strong as the weakest link, and therefore there is no place for complacency or weaker regions of the country. So I would like to preface this by saying that. I would also like to begin my very brief introductory speeches with 2 or 3 topics. That good ideas and great initiatives are not the preserve of those who live somewhere center. Good ideas can also come from those remote and far-flung places. Good ideas are not the preserve of those who are living in big cities. Secondly, we are talking about Industry 4.0. The internet has leveled that geographical limitation, and therefore there is no reason why we here in Mizoram should feel the limitations that were set on us before Industry 4.0 and be able to play nationally and globally. I'll unpack this with a little bit of global context. I will then offer a little bit of views on practical views on how I see the future of work evolving, and I will offer 2 or 3 thoughts, very practical thoughts on what our youth can do. At the very global level, there are 2 or 3 things happening. As we already heard through the very comprehensive speech by the chief guest, that we are living at a time of exceptional disruption. This is caused primarily by the Industry 4.0, which is a juggernaut and path-dependent, and therefore it is something we have to embrace. Secondly, we are also living in a period of polycrisis, affected by the pandemic, but also by great geopolitical events, and now straining upon geoeconomics. And therefore, it is safe to say that the current development models that was built on trade, investment, manufacturing at low costs, exporting, is disrupted. Due to the great shift and the move towards service industries that's taking advantage of the internet. And secondly, at a lower blue level, is the change that is happening due to automation in manufacturing, in agriculture, and in production. So that is at one level, great and disruptive change brought on by technology, but as I said, due to changing geopolitics, geoeconomics, and development models. However, what does this mean? Is that there is a new and uncertain future that beholds us. As the Chinese leader said, Mao Zedong, that the heavens are in disarray, but the situation is excellent. Therefore, those of us who have been laggards in the previous states of development can now come up and be equalized. As long as we have a curiosity of mind, learn what is needed in this new brave world and future, and seize those opportunities, not with a mind of fear, but with one of confidence and determination. And I see many such friends, even amongst our Mizo community here, amongst those who are with me at the panel, who have seized those opportunities. Some of them have come back. I'm delighted to be part. I'm very proud to be part of that. I also see, as fellow already introduced. Therefore, what is the future of work looking like? The chief guest already highlighted some of these areas of work. The future of work will revolve not around government work sitting at the back of a desk. It will be about creating apps, cybersecurity, the creative artistry, where creation and music and technology meets. These are areas which, in my view, Mizos have and the youth have a strong affinity, which can overcome those limitations of intellect in which we were laggards in the first and second and third round. Therefore, I see a very bright future on that space. Consider this, and I have written this widely before in national and international media. I will use one example. There's the great gaming, video gaming, esports, and media and technology sector. These are bigger than most of those conventional industries that we have already known. They're highly monetizable industries. In Mizoram, we are also great consumers of these products, of games, of content. But I see a future, and I would like to throw this out to our audience today, where the youth of today can take part in the value-added chain leading to the production of these industries. Can our Mizo youth be part of creating the graphic records, creating all the characters, taking on the creative digital aspects of these industries? Can we be scoring music and creating high-value, sustainable jobs for large numbers of our youth? Can we also take part in some of the new ideas, the new industries? Fela mentioned GPT. These are uncertain, brave new world. Those living in London, New York, or Singapore do not have the moral authority nor the background to imagine this future. Therefore, can we also imagine all of this? In the couple of minutes I have left, let me offer a couple of things, a couple of ways in which we can prepare. In a period of great uncertainty and change, Charles Darwin has said that the species which emerges strongest, which survives, is not one which is the strongest, but most adaptable to change. Therefore, can we develop an agile mindset? a change mindset, it is likely that research suggests that the skills you possess today, even if it is the advanced technical skills of today, whether it is developing apps, creating artistry via technology, it is very likely that in the next 5 years they will be redundant. Therefore, the desire, the need, the curiosity, and the openness to constantly reskill is one that is open. Secondly, as we already mentioned, and those of us who have gathered here, as a community are willing to help each other. Fela, through his Tilly Center, has also created a platform called Thiamna, which pulls in together the collective background, knowledge of all the Mizos who have achieved a level of success. Can we democratize that to make it an inclusive access? Can we access those who have reached a level of success and use our collective mind? Lastly, can we also start to imagine that, even as the chief guest said, and very importantly, that these technologies are disruptive. They also create new inequalities. But can we be the ones which also put human kindness, love, all the values of principles of Klomgaina, and all those into the imaginations that we also start to create in this technological and creative world? I'll keep my brief remarks and I'll stop here. I hope for more questions.
Are we using the slide, Phil? Is there a clicker? So I'm really used to using PowerPoints, so we're going to do that just for fun. It's nothing fancy. Tibai, I'm so excited to be here today. I'm not really a big expert to talk about these topics, but since I've been invited, I'm very happy to share my experiences. So thank you to Tilly and the MEA and Saram Sangha, everyone who's made this happen today. So yeah, my background is in investing, in public equity investing, stock markets, that sort of thing. Since I've been home, I've been involved in sort of the entrepreneurship landscape here in Mizoram since about 6-7 years ago, so I've been asked to talk a little bit towards that side of things. I want to start with some, how does this work? Down? Sorry, guys. Oh, okay. Huh? No, that's fine. Okay. Okay, so I want to start with some fun facts about where we are, stuff you guys already know, and also highlight some not so fun facts. So we live in the third most literate state in the country, and we're also very fortunate to have a society that places a high importance on education and higher learning. Everyone's out to get that bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD, all of that. As Sir mentioned, we have a young population, which can be a huge advantage. If you talk to countries like Japan with aging populations, that can be a big problem, right? So even though we don't have natural resources like tons of coal buried underneath, like Meghalaya or something like that, we do have an incredible resource in our youth. So the question is, how do we use this, right? And to move to the not so fun facts, unfortunately, these advantages have so far not always translated into the sort of benefits that you would expect. So we also have, like has been mentioned, really high youth unemployment. It's so common for people to graduate from college and be going to coaching for 3 years, trying to get that government job, that sort of thing. And of course, that points to a lack of high quality jobs. And that, we sort of end up at that mid-level income per capita compared to other states. Like certainly not the lowest, but there's huge room for improvement. And so so far, in Mizoram, you see the public sector really dominating everything. And we really need private sector growth, which I think we're all very concerned about. And I don't think I have time to address sort of the causes behind these sorts of issues, so we'll jump to the solutions. I'm going to talk briefly about entrepreneurship and corporate jobs. So the entrepreneurship landscape in Mizoram, as has been mentioned, the government has really given a priority to this over the past 6 to 8 years. We had the entrepreneurship development scheme that was launched around 2017, I think. And we've had things like Kailon and Rabi, like competitions where you can go and win 5 lakhs, that sort of thing. Very, very recently, we've had the incubation centers come up. There's one in MZU, 2 in MZU, including Bionest. Tilly here, there's one up in Selasi at the Veti College. And also generally, the public, I think, is very interested in this topic of how do you stand on your own feet? How do we sort of create income for ourselves outside of, competing for a UDC job or something? So this has, I think, now we have pretty good awareness about entrepreneurship and acceptance about it. We have cohorts of trained entrepreneurs who have been taught to sort of think about how to start a good business, how to go about doing that formally. And we've also had a lot of successful businesses. Like, I personally know people who are doing very well in handloom, small-scale food processing, that sort of thing. But then this sort of, we've all been observing and been taking part in this, and it sort of brings us to the next question, which I worry about, I like to think about, I worry about. People like Fela here spend their time thinking about, which is sort of how do we get to unicorns, right? So we live in one of those countries which has one of the highest number of unicorns in the world. So unicorns being startups that are valued at $1 billion or more, meaning 100 crores or more if you wanted to just go and buy that company, right? And so I'm just going to put some of them up here on the screen. I think you'll recognize a lot of them. These are all Indian companies, and this sort of thing has been happening over, say, the past 10, 15 years, right? And I think China has around 200 unicorns. We have around 70. So it's happening in our country. And I think the next step-level change for Mizoram is, okay, maybe we won't get to something like Uber that has a worldwide impact in the next 2 years, but how do we get beyond sort of livelihood creation and companies that are operating just in Mizoram? And this is something that can really have an impact on the economy as well. I think older audience members will remember how game-changing Infosys was back in the day. Like, that totally changed things for the country, So that sort of thing where you can have companies that are creating jobs and really have making a dent in the economy. So how do we get to the next level? I'm just going to point out a few things, and then we can talk about it more. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts also. Dream big. We need to sort of move away from focusing on hyper-local issues. Like, you go to these competitions, and often you'll have people pitching something that solves a customer's problem only in Aizawl, for example, or it's typically at least within the state. So I really think that we all sort of need to dream big and start thinking about something that can reach at least the regional market, if not the domestic market, and then, of course, the next step being global, right? And it needs to be innovative, which this just means doing something in a unique and different way. So I'll just throw out some examples here. Like, so in existing industries where, like, social media, we had Facebook, right? And then Instagram came along, where it went from text to let's all share mostly pictures. And even there, you can still disrupt something that's already strong, like Instagram. TikTok came along, and then suddenly everybody's sharing videos. That sort of thing. Another example would be, you saw on the previous screen, Nykaa. Like, I think the women here, I use Nykaa a lot. So there's already online shopping, there's already Amazon, there's already Flipkart. But Nykaa comes along and solves this problem of what about how do we get genuine and authentic makeup products? And there's a huge market for that, And so they've been really able to grow there. So it's not about sort of reinventing the wheel necessarily, but taking a sector and just doing something differently and doing something better, usually. Another thing is scalability. So this goes sort of hand in hand with the importance of sector, which Pudinkima sort of alluded to. And this is the sort of thing where we want to be focusing on those ideas that can really grow, usually in a short amount of time, but it's okay if it takes a slightly longer amount of time. And this, in our context, I think is sort of focusing more on things that don't have supply constraints. Like suppose you're going to do pickles, for example, in a specific product, but how much of, I don't know, how much bongsa does Mizoram create in a year, you know, like that sort of thing, where that places constraints on your growth, right? And then also we really need full-time people who are like willing to take the risk and do this full-time instead of part-time, ambitious founders. And I think if we could get sort of the perfect storm of these things, then we can really get to a point where we can access smarter and larger capital. I don't think that access to capital is so much a problem because there's so much capital in the world looking for a home, always. There's always people trying to grow their money, you know? So I think if somebody can come up with something that dreams big, that's innovative, that's scalable, and has sort of the drive to take that somewhere far, there's tons of people, even in Mizoram, HNIs, who would be willing to invest in that. We have the network. I think the people in this room can get people in front of angel investors, can get people in front of VCs. Like we already have our feet in the door, but we sort of need our startups to get there as well. I have 9 seconds, so I'll just highlight, I think we'll talk a lot more about corporate jobs in the discussion, but I just wanted to highlight remittances. So this is when people are working abroad and sending their salary home, like something I used to do for a long time. And this has a huge impact on the economies of like Kerala and Maharashtra. Apparently Maharashtra is inching above Kerala now. A lot of these remittances come from the UAE and the US and the UK. Some of them come from menial labor, but a lot of them come from corporate jobs. So Udinkima, I'm sure, meets a lot of like super high-level executives who are Indian. Like that's a very common thing, and I think that if we could sort of get more of our youth into corporate jobs in India and abroad, it doesn't have to be New York, it can be Gurgaon, right? So that sort of thing where that can really have an impact on your family income, and I think that it's easy to hate on our youth. Like I hate hearing, oh, our youth is so blah, 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 you know? I think our youth are amazing, okay? Like I think our youth are really adventurous. You have girls in Singapore, just like they've never been to Calcutta and they're going to Singapore, they're gonna go be a maid there, right? So the problem is not that we're not adventurous, it's that girl who's going to Singapore should be going and working in, you know, some skyscraper being an analyst. And that's the level that I really hope we can get to within, I don't know, the next 5-10 years. So I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, can you please open my slide? Okay, yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, but more than a pleasure, it's an honor because it's a privilege to be sharing a panel with Udinkima Urokimi, who have had way, way more expertise than I am. So I actually belong to your target group. So I guess what I will be presenting to you will be more relatable for you guys. So yeah, a big thanks to Ufela and the entire team here as well. And I was telling before I get started, you know, you should have created a blue dot, a Tili dot. If you guys see TEDx, they have a red dot, right? So just imagine that I'm standing on a blue dot right now. So yeah, I am Danny, and today I will be speaking on From Remote to Remarkable, right? And our entire theme for the day is how we can empower youth for a tech-driven future in industry. Okay, well, is it working? Down. Okay, all right. here's a little bit information about me. I did my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. I'm currently a product marketing manager at a SaaS company called Brother Stack. SaaS stands for Software as a Service. And also, I published marketing content on my IG page, which I called Marketing 101, if you notice the wordplay, right? And the portrait here is done by an AI. If you're interested to do it for yourself, you can check out Lensa app, right? All right, let's move on. Oh, sorry, it's down, yeah. Okay, sorry. Oops. Oh, that side. Okay. Wow. It's. Just check it once. I'm so sorry. Okay. Down the row. Okay, this is my workspace. This is my office. And, sorry, this is my bedroom. This is my office. Sorry, it's malfunctioning a bit. Yeah, okay, now it's working fine. This is my room. And where do I draw the line? I don't. It's impossible, right? But I'm just kidding. I've been working from home ever since I joined this company. BrowserStack is a remote-first company. And it's not, remote work is not as bad as what people make it seem to be, right? And then we have some statistics to back that up. So a Gallup research showed that 78% of remote employees report greater productivity, and it comes with its own share of fringe benefits. You have your flexible hours, work-provided equipment, home office stipend, virtual team bonding activities, which I don't agree with, and internet assistance, right? All of these 5 points, apart from the fourth one, are all applicable for me, and it has made remote work really, really beneficial. Okay, and remote jobs are here to stay. 87% of workers considering a job change are interested in hybrid or fully remote roles, right? It would have been preposterous to think that why would people give up 30% of what they're actually earning for another job, but that's not the case anymore. There are people in metro cities who are willing to give up 30% of what they're currently earning in order to go for a remote job. And they have options, right? 28% of all new job postings in January 2023 were advertised as remote. If you go to LinkedIn, if you go to Glassdoor, you would see at least 30% of those jobs would be remote, right? And how did we come to this, right? Technology is breaking barriers, and geographical boundaries are one of many, right? We went from completely relying on manual labor to machineries, from machineries to computers, and from computers to smartphones, and now we're probably heading to what we call a virtual reality or a mixed reality, right? And what is behind all this? I need to press it harder. Okay. Okay. This is what is driving everything, right? If you look at the chart, this is the internet penetration rate in India. The emergence of the internet has made significant disruption in access to information. Right now, based on 2022, 48.7% of our population had access to internet. That is roughly around 670 million people. And recently, Jio launched Jio Bharat, which is priced at rupees 999 and is aggressively targeted towards the lower section of the pyramid. And their mission statement is to capture 250 million feature phone users, right? Out of 1.32 billion people in the country, there are 250 million people who are still using feature phone. When we say feature phone, it's like your Nokia 1100, if you remember it. And if they succeed with this mission, it will contribute to an increase in internet penetration by 17.98%, which will bring almost 1 billion people in the country, 926 million people, having access to internet. That is 66.68%. And while affordable internet connectivity is the key to inclusivity again, right? Just because you have internet doesn't mean that people have access. It should be affordable and it should be reliable. And as you can see on the screen, India is one of the most affordable places in the whole world. In 2022, the mobile internet per GB costed only $0.17. So this gives us an edge if you compare it to a country like South Korea and the United States, where per GB they're paying $5 to $7 to $10 to even $41. And while we're getting excited about reaching our goal of digital inclusivity, there's another trajectory that is rapidly picking up. And we call that the democratization of technology, right? And the picture that you see here was actually generated on DALL-E. And the text here is the prompt that I gave. A digital world with software and computer elements on a palm, digital art. If I had to create this 2 years back, I would have had to contact someone who can draw. I would have had to tell him, this is what I want, this is the feel I want. And it would have taken at least 2 weeks. But this did not even take me 5 minutes. That's where we are now, in the age of democratization of technology, right? Like 10 years ago, imagine if you wanted to put out a visually appealing creative, you needed to have some basic knowledge of software, right? Maybe a Photoshop or Illustrator. But look at Canva today. It's making everyone think they're graphic designers, including myself, right? So I am also guilty of that, but that's the power that it's bringing. And also what I would like to focus on today is ChatGPT. Ufela has briefly covered about it, and Udinkima also covered about it. What ChatGPT is bringing to the industry, what it is disrupting is beyond our imagination, right? All the disruptions that we're seeing right now are not even the tip of the iceberg. We could not anticipate, we cannot even think what a language model could do, right? So how ChatGPT basically works is it stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer Technology. And these are pre-trained language models. You give them context, and it can help you augment human creativity and also deliver phenomenal results, right? So it can help in, let's say, content generation, writing a code, or even debugging a code. So it has that many capabilities, and it is still very underutilized. And if you wanted, let's say, if you work as a copywriter, and if you wanted to write a blog post, ChatGPT's got your back for copywriting. If you are a newbie in coding, and if you wanted to debug, ChatGPT has got your back as well. Well, if you wanted to strike an engaging conversation with someone you like, ChatGPT has also got your back, right? That's the level of penetration that this technology has brought upon us. And that is not all. ChatGPT is one of the many technologies that has emerged as the advent of AI and generative pre-trained transformer technology. Here we have linguistic creativity, musical creativity, scientific creativity, visual and artistic creativity, right? Udinkima also mentioned that it's time that we need to go out there and claim our presence in these different fields, right? Gone are the days where everyone gets a government job. That's impossible now. And this is just getting started, guys. This is the tip of the iceberg. And it's only onwards and upwards from here. So if you are into marketing and sales copy, these are the startups in that space. If you are into video generation, you have so many options, and more are coming on the way. And what now? What should we do as youths of Mizoram? So what we should think of is this unlocks a host of opportunities for us, right? Gone are the days when we tell ourselves, oh, I'm from Mizoram. I'm living in such a remote area, I don't even have access to infrastructure. I think we have gone past those days. And we have entered into a new era, right? But what should we do to seize the opportunities in that new era? First is change of perspective. We need to change that thinking. We need to kill that thinking that we are secluded, we are lesser fortunate. We need to start thinking that, okay, we are playing in the digital economy. The geographical borders are just conceptual now, right? Whatever that you want to do, whatever you want to access information technology, it's all there on the internet, right? So we need to start looking life from that perspective. And if we look from that perspective, I think we can scale things at a great height. And second is access to platforms. Gone are the days when we had the talent, but we didn't have the resources or even access to platforms, right? I remember people, let's say people create something in handloom, something new. But in order to showcase their products, they would have had to fly to some places like Bombay, Delhi, the big cities, right? But that's not the case anymore. You have social media on your fingertips now. That's your catalog, right? So we have access to platforms, and we should utilize those. And I will mention again what Udinkima also mentioned, open-mindedness and curiosity. What we have to know is we are living in an age of extremely rapid growth, right? These companies are focusing on fast failure principle, and what we need to know is the technology that we know today might not exist tomorrow. That's why we should be open-minded. Like we should, instead of focusing on entertainment, I mean, I'm not saying that it's bad to focus on entertainment, but at least if we could give like 20% of our time in thinking, in giving attention to what is new, what are people doing, what are the new technologies. I am curious. We should be curious, right? Like on Canva, I use Canva a lot, so Canva also recently launched some AI tools, AI integrations, right? We should be open-minded and curious because we have the same access as anyone in Mumbai or Bangalore has. We have the same internet connectivity. And in some places, it's even better. And leveraging the gig economy. So after the COVID, what has happened was there was a great surge in gig economy, which is part-time economy. And we Mizos are very talented, right? Be it graphic designing, be it video creation, art commissions, we are very talented. But what breaks my heart is I have some friends, graphic designers, who does not even charge a quarter of what someone else in the country charges and deliver better results, right? And if we knew how to leverage this gig economy on these platforms, then I think we can also up our ante. That's what I believe. And very important, again, adaptability and upskilling. Since we are operating the internet economy, the global village is operating at a fast pace, we need to be adaptable and upskill ourselves. So lastly, as Mizos, we love spending time with our Mizo mates and restrict ourselves in our bubble, right? I think it's time that we burst that bubble and we move out of it, and we should build on communication and self-marketing, right? You could be having the greatest product in the world, but if you don't communicate it out there, if you don't put it out there, if you don't announce it, then no one will know. So I guess as a Mizo youth, I am speaking on behalf of everyone here, is we have access to talent, we have access to platforms, and now it's time to play on a bigger field. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Danny, and thank you to all our keynote address. Did they did a good job or not? Did they, right? Okay. Yes, I would love some enthusiasm in the house, so which we will have going forward. I was writing a few points. We have been sitting for quite a while now, and we will be sitting a few more, and I do believe you guys may want to go to the restroom. One is here, one is there. But as we move around, just please make sure that we bend a little bit because the cameras are there, so it's live. So just please bend before the camera. That's one point I just want to say. And as I was saying, we were supposed to have 5 special guests today. One is like, because of some important engagement, ma'am cannot be here. The other 4 are special for a reason. I didn't exactly tell them prior, but then they will be, like Mr. Mapuya is a very close friend of mine. He's been itching to speak like really, really hard. So they would have each of them will have their own time from here, this side. I think it'll be good. So I think Mr. Mapuya, then Mr. Kima will come, and then Ms. Ruth, and then Mr. Nikki. It's like, it was talking about copywriting, right? We have a copywriting master right over here. There is no one more expert than him, so let him comment on your points. And then in our context, we have a media king, or so to say, right? So let them comment on that point as well. That'll be fun. I think we will give them maybe 4 minutes each, please. And then after that, we will all have like a good round of discussion. If you want to come out here and stand, you come out here and stand. That's very good. If you want to speak from your seat, that'll be very good. But for the 4 of them, they'll come out here and speak. So that'll be nice. And I'll ask Mr. Mapuya to go first, and then we'll go this side.
Hello. Yeah, I specifically said I have no idea what to say to the 2 fella, but still he calls me out. All right. It's kind of hard for me to be very enthusiastic about Industry 4.0 for Mizoram because this kept me awake for a few months now. My sleepless nights are because of Industry 4.0. Because, see, I'm from a media distribution, first and foremost, cable TV distributions, and it's going to displace lots and lots of jobs in the future, especially. See, right now, we have around, the industry in Mizoram is creating around 1,000 jobs, give or take here and there. 95% of the job is on the distribution side. So that means around 900 jobs is on the distribution, on the last mile. And with OTT coming up, with IPTV coming up, those jobs will be lost. Now, I'm not worried about my company as such because we already have a plan for such things. But for the lost job, the displaced jobs. I don't know how much jobs that we can create as a company in the future for those displaced jobs. And still, I would say, still the distributions at the through cloud, SaaS, it's still in the early stage, and not many companies have make it profitable, let alone a good cash flow. You can just name a few in the world. I've been speaking I just came back from a meeting from Delhi. We were talking about OTT and delivery services. And they have some other clients other than me, and none of them are not doing that good of a job, making money out of it, monetizing their platforms. So it's very, very difficult for me to be very enthusiastic about the future that the revolution is going to bring. And it's going to be very fast, faster than the whole of the 3 industrial revolution that we have faced. It's going to be like fast, and it's going to be disruptive. And when you are at the receiving end of it, it's like, what should we do? How do we create jobs? And what about the displaced people? And I have no answer for that at the moment. So that keeps me up a lot in the night. And secondly, about copywritings and all, maybe we have around 10 copywriters right now. We'll just need 1 in the future with a good editor. That's it. And I don't know what I'm going to do about the rest. And about printing as well, media in the form of print, it's going to not take a lot of time, just that we move away from printing and go digital. And I don't know what I'm going to do about my 15 staffs who are on the printing and distributions. Around hundreds. So, no, around 200. So that's the challenge that we're facing. All right. Now, the thing is that it's going to make a lot of jobs. That's for sure. In the future, that's a long run. Now, we have to think about what we do now in the state and in the situation that we're in. We talk about Geo, which has a big plan. Now, the thing is that Geo's growth is highly, highly pushed from the policymakers. The distribution end has been disrupted with policy makers to push a digital platform for Geo. Now, I'm not complaining about the policymakers favoring a particular company or anything, but I think that just to take whatever we have talked about right up till now, policy making has to be favorable of investment in the state of Mizoram, and I'm not talking about the schemes and programs that are there from the central government. I'm talking about the policy itself here in the state being favorable of investment. Now, the plan is that 3 of my portfolio is coming up. We are making the 3 of my portfolios to be LLC in the coming few months. And 1 or 2 of them may be scalable. That's what we are planning right now. But, we were talking about unicorns, we were talking about investments. But the thing is that, investors want their money back. And from where we stand, it's a little bit difficult right now. But if such a policymakers make it favorable for them to come in terms of tax, maybe, where they can slash some of their taxes through investment in Mizoram, maybe they'll come in. See, it's so highly dependable on the whole ecosystem, starting right from the government up to the last mile of delivery. So we have to work together on that end. It's not just that some people are doing outside. Come on. YouTube has been made millionaires, but the CDN US is around $68 or $73 maybe, I don't, it will be between that one. The CDN in India is around $1, and in the remote places like us, it might go down to 90 cents or 83 cents. So, it's not gonna make millionaires. That's where we are, that's where we stand. So we have to make a whole ecosystem that kind of work and makes funding favorable so that we attract investors. Those kind of things need to be there first, and then we can go on. Like I have an IT company which is working through making some SaaS and marketplaces. We are targeting Northeast in the coming future and then go nationals later on. But to go nationals we need a deep pocket. We need a much deeper investment money to burn just to make it to the market even in the Northeast, I would say. We don't have that. We don't have the investment terms money to burn here. We have to burn our own money, and that's like our pocket is not that deep to make it to the market as of yet. I mean, like taking anyone in Mizoram. So we need investors to come in. We need a policy that favors investors, and we just have to make that whole ecosystem. Every one of us have to try. Now, the government even if the government just make the policy, if they don't have the people to work towards those policies, it doesn't work. So it's a 360 thing, and we have to work towards it. And the youth of today have to think about all those things. Not just, we are at the consumer end of the internet. We have the highest bandwidth consumption. Taken all of the Northeast except for Assam, combine all together of their bandwidth consumption, Mizoram is still higher. That's how much we consume internet, but we are using it for what? Mocking, trolling, porn. We have the highest porn, by the way. Yep, we do. Now, those are the bad things, but we can turn that around easily because we already have the connectivity. So, yeah, for me, it's like we have to do a lot of things to be more, proactive and just make this thing work. We can do that, but till now, we still not a lot of work is needed. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Whatever I wanted to say, Danny had already mentioned it, except he did it in a much more beautiful presentation and really well articulated. Anyway, I'll give it a try. My name is Kima. I'm a farmer. I live at my farm in Neiboy with my 5 dogs. And yeah, I just came from Neiboy directly. I'll be going back there after this event. When I'm not taking care of my iskut cultivation or feeding my chickens and pigs, I also work as the creative director and copy head for this company called Ronin Labs. My designation here says co-founder of FIT. This is actually an old designation. I started a gaming company in Mumbai a long time ago. We got successfully acquired. And so that's what I'm working as now from my farm, where we deal with different clients. We brainstorm concepts, online digital campaigns for different brands, and we deal with augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, metaverse. We do all that. We are also the official partners of Meta, the Instagram and Facebook, and also Snapchat, right? So the reason why I'm saying all that is not to show off. I just want to tell the youth here that it's very much possible now to work remotely, right? I can do it from Neiboy. You can easily do it from Aizawl, right? So with the amount of internet penetration that there is here, you don't have to worry about now. When we were kids, we had to like travel all the way in Vaidut on Tuirial Airport. I'm sure none of you even know what Tuirial Airport, right? We used to go there. We used to look for jobs. We used to hunt for jobs. You guys can just do it here, right? If you proactively use your time and not play like PUBG or something like that, right? So if you do that, you can. Because in today's age, like as they say, the world is now a global village, right? So anything that you can do here, you don't have to be there. Everything is possible here. So you don't have to worry, especially to all the youngsters out here. So that's one point I want to talk about, the remote place, right? The second thing I want to talk about, the elephant in the room is AI, right? AI. So yeah, even we use a lot of AI in our line of work. When I was the copy supervisor at Dentsu Wet Chutney, that is India's #1 digital advertising agency, I used to have around 10 to 15 copywriters under me, right? At Ronin Labs, I only have 2 copywriters, right? That's it. And yes, it has removed some jobs, right? But as Fela and the others, the esteemed guests have all said, more job opportunities will be created. So you don't have to worry about. Like for example, when the calculator was created, right? Thousands of people lost their jobs, but thousands of people got new job, right? The calculator, right? When the computer was created, again, same thing happened. Thousands of people lost their job, thousands of people found their job. That's life. Some professions are bound to become obsolete, right? Very long time ago in Mizoram, we used to have a professional person who would climb the roof and then twist the antenna, the TV antenna, right? He could twist it. If you want Bangladesh channel, he'll twist it a little bit there. If you want to watch Burma channel, he'll twist it more like that, right? Where is the antenna twister now? Gone, right? What about STD booths? Do any of you know what an STD booth is, right? We used to stand in line just to call home or our girlfriend, boyfriend, and there are no STD booths anymore, right? That has been completely replaced by mobile phones now, right? So like that, same thing with AI, right? AI will replace some jobs, but if you are getting into the digital space now, right, it's not too late. If you try to learn how can you work with AI, you can still have a good job, right? You don't have to be afraid of AI. Yes, as Danny said also, AI is extremely powerful. It can do so many things you will not believe, right? But at the same time, there are a few things that it can't do, right? For example, can I make you all do a small exercise, right? You all have this notebook here. Can you tear out one page? Can you tear out one page? All of you, including our keynote speakers. Just tear out one page, right? Hold it in front of you. Now, just listen to my instruction. With 2 hands, hold it with 2 hands. Close your eyes. Everyone, close your eyes, okay? I'm asking you all to close your eyes so that you can focus on my instruction, not because I want to stare at the beautiful ladies here, right? Now, just listen to my voice, all right? Fold it in half. Fold it in half. Tear the top right corner. Tear the top right corner. Everyone did it? Fold it in half again. Now, tear the bottom left corner. All right? Last time. Fold it in half again. Tear the top left corner. Done. Awesome. You can all open your eyes. Now, open your paper and compare it with the person sitting next to you. Look at each other's. Are they same? I just gave you all the same instruction. Are they same? Anybody? No. Right? They're not the same. I gave you the same instruction. Right? Because that's the way you are perceiving what I'm saying. Right? And that's the same thing with AI. And AI is only as good as the person who is operating it. Right? So it has its flaws, just like we humans also have our own flaws. Right? There are also a few things it can't do, like human intuitive perception, right? AI can't do that. Can I have a whiteboard? I saw that whiteboard. Do you need that whiteboard? Very quick, 1 minute. I'm almost done. After this magic, you can have it. Clean? Yeah, can you rub it? Yeah, just a very short exercise on how we do this in marketing. So I have worn a lot of shoes, right? From copywriting to game designer to product manager. And one of the things, very simple thing is, yeah, no, it's okay. Okay, can you just hold it? Yeah. All right. So what we have here is, suppose you are buying, okay? All right. So this is small and this is large. All right? A small glass of anything, could be Pepsi. Let's call it Pepsi. All right? A small glass of Pepsi is $3. Right? And a large glass of Pepsi is $7. Everyone understand? Which one will you buy? Which one will you buy? Come on, you can just small, right? Why? Okay, now I'm telling you, how do I make people buy the large without changing the price? The pricing point doesn't change. How do I make you all buy the large? Anyone? Come on, this is interactive. Feel free. Yes. So, where's the marker? Yeah. So I introduce a new drink. I call it medium. I call it medium. And I price it at 6.5. Yeah? Now, which one will you buy? Small, $3. Medium, $6.5. Large, $7. Which one will you all buy now? Right? Because we are comparing, right, the different segment. This is also known as the decoy effect, which we use a lot in in-app purchases. In-app, that's how we make games we make money in games, right? All of you play Angry Birds or any of these games. How we push this pricing point, right? Because we understand human connection. How the person will feel like when he's playing. That is not possible yet in AI, right? Hopefully that won't be possible in the future also. But still, you don't have to be afraid. That's what I'm trying to say, right? There's still a lot of scope that you can do in different sectors of the industry. And yeah, so basically, that's what I just want to point out regarding AI and remote working. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all for having me here today. I wasn't expected to come up and speak. I thought I'll be just an observant here. But anyway, thank you. I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a sore throat and I may not be doing a very interesting talk like my previous speaker. Anyway, my name is Ruth. My name is Ruth Zothanpui, and currently I'm working as a program coordinator at Khaja Ahmed Abbas Memorial Trust. And prior to that, I was former consultant at the Planning Commission before, before it was called Niti Aayog. So I was there for about 8 years, and I moved on to Raj Bhavan for about a year. So, but right now I am engaged with not just this Khawaja Ahmed Abbas Trust, but I was also involved with a number of NGOs based in Delhi, Ahmedabad, and Pune. I do a consultation for these sectors. I'm not sure about what exactly I'm here. I don't know if I'm very qualified to speak to people who are, I think, way more, who knows more about technology and things like that. But anyway, what I wanted to say here today is that I feel very strongly about, you know, with all this development and growth that we speak of, I think along with this development that when we are talking about this, I think we also need to focus our youth, especially in Mizoram. I think we need to focus a little bit on our performing arts as well. I've seen a lot of potential in this sector, and but with a little, if more people like Fela, for example, and other people put more energy into this sector, I think, because we are living in this fast-paced world, and so many things are changing, and with the tip of our fingers, you know, like Pukima was just talking about how even in his remote area, he was able to do all this job. If maybe even if he was in Delhi, he would do, you know, he'll be just as potential. But I feel that we need to concentrate and we need to take a step back also and think about this, because just the other day, it just came on to me that the other day we were talking about you know, railway coming in and all this development coming in, and how are we going to protect ourselves? That was also something that scared people. You know, how are we going to protect our women? How are we going to protect, you know, from so many outsiders coming in? How are we going to cope with that? And I feel that, you know, performing arts and can also be that vehicle for, you know, the social change that we are looking at today. And I would really like to talk more about this with Fela. And I also wanted to share that, like, a few years ago, there were people in Planning Commission and people at National School of Drama who were telling me that, you know, there are a group of Mizo performers. They're doing this play on Shakespeare, and this is all in Mizo. But nobody understands the language, but they find the performance so moving. And so it really, they're like, are you guys all so talented, and like your voices are like so beautiful. So I'm like, yeah, we are good at that. And anyway, it all leads to another another discussion altogether, because most of the, you know, like, when we're looking at performing arts, we should not just think about entertainment. I think we should use that as a, you know, like, as a way to spread good message and our way of life, preserving our culture, while at the same time, you know, still going on and be a part of all these changes that we see today. And I feel that that is one area where we can also maybe stop and think about it a little bit. Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't speak for so long because I'll start coughing again, but thank you so much.
All right. Hi, everyone. I think the last time I spoke publicly in a public gathering, that was about 15 years ago, and Din Kima was sitting, you know, like this, like I was on the stage. Actually, one weekend, Din Kima's grandfather was the second chief minister, I think, of Mizoram. So we went to his house, and we were brainstorming, like this, about, what we could do for Mizoram. And then suddenly he said, young man, I want you to come to my party office and give a speech on Monday. And I said, okay, and so the next day on Monday, I went to the PC party office, and the speakers, they made such eloquent speeches. I mean, they were talking, they connected with the hoi polloi, they were talking about taxi colors. Like, I think the ruling party then was MNF. I think Zoram Thanga's, when he was chief minister then, and they were saying that, he's changed the taxi colors to this, and we'll change it back to this, and then everyone clapped, and, yeah. So finally, when my time came to speak, I was talking about all these things that were like international, and at a point of time, some people in the gathering, they said, enough, you've spoken enough, atok to because they were bored. I couldn't really connect with the hoi polloi by talking about taxi colors and, things like that. So that was a big lesson for me. Now I have to watch out for the time here, so you guys don't say, enough. So, and that reminds me, earlier this year, I think I was offline, my phone for a couple of weeks. And when I switched it back on, Din Kima had sent me, I gave him a business card years ago. I used to work for the Australian government. And so I think you were going through old things. And so he sent me on WhatsApp, my old business card from the Australian government. So I used to work for the Australian government. I became an Australian permanent resident in 2004. And I believe I'm the first Mizo to get the permanent residency through the skilled migration scheme. And so shortly after that, I worked for the Australian government, and then I was given this business card. And getting your first job and having a business card, and it was like all a novelty for me. So I went to this stationery person in our office, and I said, can I get more boxes of my business card? So then I was sending it back to family and friends. And I think I gave one to Din Kima as well. So when I came back to India in 2006-07, I had this business idea. I thought, okay, everyone's giving out business cards. But how do you actually authenticate, that this person actually works for this company, or this person is actually in this position, So I had this business idea where, maybe you can generate a code, and then on the business card you can print the code, and then there'll be a website. And so anywhere in the world, when people exchange business cards, that number can be plugged into the website, and then you can get it verified, So I had this business idea. I mean, it's one thing to have a business idea. I think there are lots of quotes on this. I think probably Danny can give the quotes. Ideas are cheap, It's actually implementing it. I mean, anyone here in this room can have hundreds of ideas. But the implementation, I mean, that is where the catch is. So I thought, okay, let me try and implement this business idea. I thought, let me think global. Because in Australia, you have things like business numbers and, all kinds of, numbers that you can actually apply in a few minutes online. And so I thought, okay, why not something for a business card, So then I got down to, building a website. Around the same time, Kima, Mizo Hickens, I think, Mizo Hickens or something. So I thought, okay, I'll get the best software, which was at that time Dreamweaver. So the best is not always like, suitable, because Dreamweaver was very hard. And then there was, I don't know if you guys remember, in MAPUYA, he's in publishing. So Adobe is now cloud. Back then it was Adobe CS. I got CS3. And it was like 60,000, I don't remember. But I was living in Bombay at that time. So I went to this reseller who said, okay, you don't have to pay the full 1 lakh or something, I will give it to you on a student price. So I got it for 60,000. But that Dreamweaver is like obsolete now. I think Kima can say, I was actually looking down on the easily available apps like WordPress. I thought, okay, WordPress, how hard is that? Why should I use it? If I have this business idea, I should use the best, But the learning curve was so high, and then, I had to learn about hosting domain names. I was buying domain names on Yahoo Business. And Yahoo was like a reseller of Melbourne IT. Because I was kind of like, had this snobbish outlook, I should, get it from Yahoo, it's a brand name. But then, there were so many other alternatives. I mean, because GoDaddy sounded very cheap. It's like, GoDaddy. I mean, so I said, oh, no, I don't want GoDaddy. I'll go with, Yahoo. And Yahoo was selling like 5 times, I think, for a domain name. And so the point I'm trying to get here is that this was back in 2006. So now we are, in 2023, so many years later, things should be really easy. I think Danny's put up all those apps. And Kima, is saying that you shouldn't be afraid of AI. You should actually make use of it. And a year back, I was refreshing myself on Photoshop and things like, Final Cut Pro and, all those video editing things. But then I got distracted by a death in the family, and then so I didn't open my laptop again or or those apps again for at least a year. So when I opened it a year later, Photoshop had changed so much. I mean, it's like you could just, like Danny was showing, you could generate pictures and things so easily, I'm out of time? Okay, so I'll cut it. Will I? Slowly, okay, taper it, okay. And yeah, just another thing where I found it interesting, MAPUYA came up here. Around 2015, there was this lady in MAPUYA's Veng, Vansang Kimi, so her daughter had lost, her daughter's iPhone was stolen. So she was going on about, how expensive the iPhone was and then the story of how they recovered it. And I was at her house and I said, I think in 5 years, everyone, even, the maids, domestic workers, everyone will have a smartphone. And she didn't believe me, And I think in those days, I mean, even now in Electric Veng, I think the people there, they looked up on MAPUYA's business, like Vang Laini. And then I said in 5 years, probably Vang Laini would be out of business. Because now they are the print gatekeepers, or even Zonet or LPS, they are the gatekeepers. Because now if everyone has access to fast internet, smartphone, so now, anyone, fella can create, here, Michelle can create a channel, and if it's successful, you can, make it a media empire. So that's what MAPUYA came here and talked about. I hope you don't have to lay off this 15 staff that, you'll have to, okay, because now 1 or 2 people can do the 15, So this reminds me of Margaret Thatcher. When she died, I think there were some nasty comments. I mean, people still love her or hate her, and they said like, ding dong, the witch is dead, because she disrupted all the coal mining and traditional businesses. And then, so England became, financial, okay. So you get the gist of what I'm saying. Anyway, so yeah. All right, fellas in a hurry. I'll give it back to him. Yeah.
So since your speech is very interesting, you will have more time to contribute in the discussion so that we have more time together. I think that's fair for everyone. And that's exactly why they are kind of like the special guests, because even if you call them impromptu, everyone got aboard. Like they were in excess. They were like the keynote speakers, all of them. Ms. Ruth have some throat problem, otherwise she'd have gone on forever, I think. So yeah, that's where we are. So we talk about a lot of it. I think whether it's questions or contributions, now we'll open the floor. Just before that, just a quick recap is like our chief guest talked about skill labor, how we can improve upon it. Dinkima spoke about how can we capitalize entertainment, music and all. Rokimi then came along, said about youth empowerment, how can we capitalize the youth which we have here. And Danny talked about, basically, I would quote it for him, I was telling him back in the room, necessity is basically the mother of invention sometimes. So, because of COVID, he has been working from home since then, and the whole company has shifted to, as even Mr. Kima had talked about it, that they have they are working from home. It's all because of COVID, because nobody really thought about shifting their whole workforce remotely. Because of COVID, that happened. And then Mr. Mapuya came along, and then as Mr. Puya just said, he talked about how difficult it is for an employer when it comes to all of this new GPTs. So I was saying, right, the general purpose technologies, when they come along, how will an employer cope with that? That's one, I think, one amongst the big problem which employers will have to face. And then Mr. Kima had a very nice session, making us do stuff and all, and talking about how great he is in copywriting and all, like indirectly saying all of those. And then Ms. Ruth talked about performing arts. I think in the future, we can see forward to how can we merge the digital aspect and the performing arts. There will be ways how we can bring out our creativity. Is it via YouTube? Is it via something else? So I think that's where we can explore. And then Mr. Puya, I think the most important thing which I took away from his talk is the power to convene, the power to make things happen. Like, it could be small, it could be big, but then the power to do that amongst all of the people over here. I think doing it is what is important at times. It's not just thinking or just dreaming, it's doing it. So with that, I would open the floor. If you want to come up here, I'm welcoming you so much to come up here and be here. I would just request our team to bring around the mics, whichever is there. Just pass it around, ask questions, contribute, or even the same keynote speakers. Let's just give a little bit break for the others, and then maybe we can have the floor again. We will do this for around maybe 30, 40 minutes, and then maybe we can wrap it up from there on. I hope that's fair for everyone. Okay? All right. The mic? Yeah. You can just address it to whoever you want amongst the panel, amongst the special guests, or you can just contribute whatever we all want. Okay? Go on, just stand up, or you can come here, whichever it is.
Okay, hello. This is for Puram Sanga. So you were talking about inspiring the youth to acquire AI skills. And I believe there's apathy even amongst the Mizo youth towards acquiring these new skills. So what is the government doing, to inspire the youth? And is there any intention on the part of the government to introduce AI courses even in the school level? Yeah, that's my question.
Thank you very much. I prefer to stand. I've got bad back pain, so I'm for quite some time. It is said that there are only two jobs that AI won't replace, true peace. One is politicians and one is our priests. Politicians for obvious reasons, priests for caring, the human connection, all those kind of things. Regarding your question, of course, several initiatives are ongoing at the state level, at the central level, to prepare the youths, the new generation for the jobs of the future. At the state level, even though budget allocation is not there for the state, from the state government to my department, which is concerned with entrepreneurship, skill development. We have been trying our best through CSR connections, through central government CSS funds to orient the youth towards the new age skills. As I mentioned earlier, AI course is going to be introduced very shortly with support from the Ministry of Information Technology. Some budget has been allocated for AI courses, but it's not for the formal education institutes. is for the ITI. ITI is basically they're teaching technical courses. Most of the blue-collar jobs are from the ITIs. I mean, connected to the ITIs. So it's a bit limited at present. But as one of the speakers has mentioned in his slide, there are lots of opportunities in the AI field, and I believe that the government will slowly realize that there is an opportunity to for the youth to push them forward to the newly available jobs. And I just want to continue to where Puya has mentioned regarding the situation in their field, newspaper field. I believe that they need to upskill, reskill their present workforce so that they can work online, right? They can do something online and not be laid off. At the same time, I want to mention, it's not with your question, but I am taking this opportunity to continue with Puya's speech. The state government is coming up with Mizoram startup policy. Other states are having their own startup policy, like the tax breaks, incentives, free water connection, free electricity supply, pool of land which can be used by the prospective PPP parties, industries from outside the states to set up their own venture in the Mizoram. Those things are going on. In fact, I'm leading a team to Dhaka, Bangladesh very soon in the Ministry of Donor Roadshow for investment in northeastern states. So very soon, with a proper policy in place, we can have some kind of system in place to encourage investment related to several fields of potential fields available in our state, like in horticulture, in agriculture, in skill development, in handloom, handicrafts, IT, nursing, and so on. AI is disrupting our lives. I've been constantly bombarded by advertisements pushed by Amazon, Flipkart, whenever I open my mobile phone. So it's here to stay, and we have to learn how to live with it. We have to work with it. I'll request Mr. Denny or Madina to highlight the various courses that are youth, that besides the obvious BA, MA, MSc, MCom courses, that our youths can, aspire to study to get jobs in the coming years. That's my humble request from my side. Okay, thank you.
Hello. Yeah, since my name came up quite often, I'll just clarify in 1 minute. Okay, the displacement and the layoffs is not so much of a problem, maybe on the content creation side, meaning that the journalists might not have so much of a problem. But then the problem is on the distribution end of it, the last miles. So that's the thing that I want to clarify. Secondly, is that it's not so much of an employer's problem, but it's more of a social problem that's going to come. So that two things I want to clarify quickly. So moving forward, that's it.
Hello. Oh, first of all, I would like to acknowledge Mr. Fela and Dilly for giving us young Bananas the opportunity to invite us in this event and giving us such experience. My question is for Mr. Laramsa again. As he is more on the skill development, as his score is more on the skill development of the youth, I would like to ask him a question whether is 3D printing manufacturing industry possible in Mizoram, and can we monopolize it so that we could reach growth at a higher rate? Because as we know, Mizoram is not very economically developed yet, and we are more of a consumer rather than producers. So I would like to suggest that if there would be schemes for any youth in our nation, in our state, who is interested in the technological field, giving them training for manufacturing 3D printers. As we know, 3D printing manufacturing industry is growing day by day, and it's not only in India but globally as well. It is also used in for scientific purpose, research. Lately, it's also being quite used in fashion industry as well, where printable clothes are very in trend. So I would like to ask you, is it possible if we could do something with this?
That's a very good suggestion, seeing how popular 3D printing is nowadays. But I believe that it will require substantial investment, which is not available at our home state. So hopefully in the coming years, there might be a prospective company, business who are willing to work in Mizoram with Mizoram government, with Mizoram state, to set up such type of, you're talking about manufacturing the machine. That's several considerations have to be taken regarding manufacturing part, but training of the users, of the end users, is something which may be possible. In any case, it's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Please state your name and background once. Okay, after that.
Hello. Okay, my name is Mizoram, and I am from Government Aizawl College. And today is a wonderful day, and it is a great opportunity for us, Government Aizawl College, to be here. And it is not something like a very great question, but I would like to give a request, a very great request, especially to Mr. Kima and Mr. Fela, that can Tili or any other some kind of organizations organize a training session on creating professional LinkedIn profiles, as basically how to use LinkedIn to find works, especially in these remote areas or remote work, so that let's say the graduate students or the upcoming graduate students have a more successful future and life. It's not just, it's not something like a very brilliant question, but I would like to give a request. Thank you.
It's very, very good and very much on point. I think that's something which that's a starting point for all of us here to get to the bigger stage. I think Mr. Kim has a point.
No, not a point. I just want to share, not related to this, if you want to continue, something else. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just want to share a very quick experience after what Puram Sangha said about teaching a course for AI. Right? Very short thing. I hope it inspires all the youngsters here. So I told you we work a lot with AI for different brands, right? Our clients. One of our clients is OnePlus, the phone, and we are coming up soon with an AI music festival concert soon, right? The problem is that we don't have AI programmers in our company, so we reach out to our contacts and finally found one guy, amazing guy. He did all his work at the back end, AI, did all that. Until I found out he's in 10th standard. Class 10 student. And this guy, so yeah, that's what I'm saying. This 10th standard kids are doing it, right? So yeah, that's what I'm very bad with inspiring people, but I hope that inspires you all.
Very, very inspiring.
Yeah, I would like to answer the LinkedIn question. I think it's a very valid question, and I've been telling my juniors to focus on it. And I think one thing that you should also note is before LinkedIn, the Mizo community in general, we don't have this habit of documenting our achievements, right? In school, you took part in, let's say, debate competition, you took part in certain events, and you won, but you don't have the certificate to provide proofs. And I think this is the pain point that everyone who had gone to B school faced, right? We're in our year one, and we need to make our CV. And many of us, I think not me, but many of us usually join as freshers, right? So when you make CVs, they're very strict. You cannot just put up anything that you want, that you feel like, right? They're going to ask, okay, where's the proof for it? It should be stamped, sealed, signed, company header, whatever, right? If you claim that, okay, you contributed in your local branch YMA, right? They'll be like, okay, get that car from YMA. So I think first we should start is whatever achievements that you have made in life, even in your class 5, 6 level, even one standard level, like if you achieve, let's say, a singing competition first position, also get approved for that. Collate everything, document everything, and when that platform comes, when the time comes, you will have something to verify and substantiate your claims. And I think that will make your lives much easier, more than LinkedIn, but also for your professional career.
Can I just make a quick comment, sort of related? So LinkedIn, if we're going to talk about LinkedIn and getting into corporate and stuff like that, one thing that we're really missing locally usually is internships. So other Indians, so like people based in Bombay or Delhi or whatever, while they're doing their bachelor's, while they're doing their master's in the summer, they're doing internships with various companies. And it doesn't have to be the most fancy thing. Like you can go intern with Puma Puya, you know, something like that, where I think that's something that our educational institutions, our local companies here could be focusing on so that our youths have stronger resumes when applying for jobs.
I'll also just say, or intern with you. For the last 3 or 4 years, I have had several interns located all over the world. For the last 3 or 4 years, I have used the services of a Mizo boy who is studying at IIMC in Delhi to create all my social media posts. Some of it coming out of work, some even personal ones. And I pay him for the last 3 or 4 years. And now I have gotten him on to a social media enabled this manufacturing charity based in Chandigarh. And along with his job and studies, he continues to create social media posts. And I've asked him to upskill by not only learning how to make copywriting and social media creating, I've asked him to learn some skills on digital marketing. These are the jobs of the future. And you asked LinkedIn, I just did a Google search of graphic design platforms. So a lot of freelancers are based there, and that's where I've found many of my graphic designers. So by just Googling, I can see so many of them. Graphic design platform.
Yeah, I'll just quickly add on those points regarding the LinkedIn. Yeah, I think you can definitely come here. This is a space for you, for all of you, to come here and explore, and we can help you in that in this Delhi center. And then as Danny was saying, he's having a thing called marketing, not marketing, marketing. So you can also go to Mr. Marketing and then get something out of him as well. And regarding the internship, we do hear a lot of, we have quite a few internship here coming now. Recently also we had one from HBC. Where's Shangbana? Oh, Shangbana is here. Your senior guy came along. He got into IIM Ahmedabad. So we made internship for him here. And then as Danny was saying, building a CV points is the most difficult thing for a Mizo girl or guy to go to top B schools, and that's where we have to really rebuild. And then as Mr. Dinkim was just saying, I think there's a huge opportunity in all of this. People over here, for you folks, and the others watching hopefully now and later on, that the potential to do internship is open, plus it's very important going forward into our career. So I would just want to express that. I couldn't express that more. Okay, anyways, it's in to the floor.
Just another point in unlocking opportunities. I mean, I think Rokimi had put up a PowerPoint on literacy rate. It's the 3rd highest. But I just want to, if you guys recall, there's a news, national news where the Chief Minister of Mizoram wanted the Chief Secretary replaced with a Mizo because he said that his ministers have trouble understanding English. And then, on the national newspaper, I think Times of India, someone commented and said, how, Northeast is supposed to be very fluent. They all speak in English. I don't believe an iota of that, But there's a, advantage and disadvantage where in Mizoram, we all have this common language, Mizo. And we are all very trapped in this, can I say, blogosphere, or this world of Mizo. So all our contents seem to be in Mizo. My mother was mentioning one's channel, Friday Nightmare or something like that, a channel, and I think this person has how many subscribers? It was unbelievable, 1 point something million. And I thought, are there that many Mizos? Our population is 10 lakhs. But there's a ceiling. I mean, she can't grow anywhere more than that if she sticks to English, to Mizo. So all our entertainers, musicians, I mean, Singapore is a majority Chinese, and Indians and Malays. But they've decided not to adopt Chinese script or Malay or, but they've used the English script, Latin script, and they've adopted English. So that has propelled them, globally. So Mizos, I mean, we're very comfortable in Mizo and, in our own language, which is a plus point. But I think to unleash our potential, you will have to, like, Ruth was saying, there was a Shakespeare play.
Mizo.
Then,
it's all done in Mizo.
Yeah. So
nobody understands the word, but everybody knows Shakespeare.
Yeah. So the mainstream people enjoyed it, but they would have enjoyed it more if it was in English. And when I was little, like in the 80s, I think my parents were mentioning this Mizo lady who was sponsored, a Mizo girl who was taken to America by her mother's pen pal. Her mother's pen pal said, send your daughter and I'll educate her or something like that. I was very fascinated with that story, and I used to think, okay, Mizoram is very isolated, but what if we all have pen pals? What if we all reach out to the world? Maybe something would come out of it. But now with technology, LinkedIn, someone said LinkedIn, so now you are on a level playing field with, someone from California or Canada, anywhere, So but to leverage this, I think we'll have to adopt English more. And I think Mizo Hickens, was it in English or? And I read some story about you dealing with Bombay police. I think the policemen, they called you Nepali or something, and then because it was in English, people were able, the mainstream people were able to, connect with that story and take it forward. But if it's just in Mizo, so I think it's very important now, this event that we have, fella is like, he's made it in English. So, yeah.
Fella, I want to make a brief statement and a question. Is this working, right? So, what about an entrepreneurship policy which is very time-focused for Mizoram? Let's say Mizoram 2025, and where top 3 skills can be divided age-wise. Let's say for youngsters from the age of 16 to 17, there should be a set pattern of skills that should be identified, that you should be good with writing your emails, you should be savvy with your social media, and by that time you would have probably identified one skill. So, a comprehensive policy that leads towards Startup 2025, you can pack it in any manner possible. But is there something of this nature that is ongoing?
I think we have one person over here who has a seat in the policy making, and so maybe he can answer that. But then just to have a quick thing is, we don't really do the vision thing setting, which I think we should be doing. The same thing as your thinking is my thinking, but then hopefully our policymakers and our officials will get to that point. Right now, I'm not sure, do we have any point? No. So exactly we don't, okay, yeah.
Actually, I take a contrarian view, and this relates to Michelle's question as well, that it is unfair and unreasonable to expect government, and contrary to the nature of startups, to expect government to get the startup engine running. What, however, is very important for government is to build an enabling infrastructure. If we are talking of startups, very importantly, we cannot do without power. We cannot do without very solid IT infrastructure. Thirdly, we also cannot do it without an overall ease of doing business environment. So I don't think that there is a need for a special startup, this, that. It could have some funds, but all startups in the world that have been successful, and the story of India's growth in the IT sector has been without the policies. There's the best-in-class industrial policies in Mizoram, in the Northeast. This is inadequate. So there is a need to reframe our questions. That what is it that the government can do and must do? I already offered two of those: world-class infrastructure, uninterrupted power supply. I'm here actually working remotely as well this past week. I spent a Zoom workshop yesterday, and I kept getting power cuts. That is not what I want. I want uninterrupted internet. If you have that, you can let a certain level of rolling on the ball with that, right?
Although, power cut is a major infrastructure issue, I completely agree we shouldn't be facing at this point in time. But world-class IT infrastructure will only come when we are going to have a skilled group of people. I mean,
okay, so that is the other part, is that there has to be, where is the government able to make another change? But that has to be done in tandem with society, is working with society, with people on the education, right? And actually, in the startup world, a BA in philosophy, English literature is irrelevant. I teach at the university in Singapore, where I teach BA degrees in game design, creative technology, app development. Puya spoke about languages. Be excited about learning the languages of the world: English, Chinese, South Korean, Korean, programming languages. These are the languages of the future. So that is where the government can do. It could promote the idea from an empowerment point of view, right? And there is the other aspect that in public policy, and Puram Sangha will attest to this, that the most difficult thing ever is to create an aspiration in a people where it does not exist. And therefore, it is convenings and discussions like this where we must collectively encourage each other to aspire better, to dream bigger, but realistic also, and harness the collective power. Again, I will refer back to that Thiamna group and Tilly. Can you create workshops that can help people navigate and reach out, like people from Bangladesh, Nepal, Sudan have reached out to me, asking if they can work from me on LinkedIn. So these are ways, but you have to know what you want to do. You have to have a certain audacity and learn those communication skills. I think that is very important. And those are the type of degrees which, and many of those degrees that I've mentioned are available this day and age, all online already. Not in the future, but now.
Very well point made, sir. Come on, let's keep it to the floor again. Back to the floor. I think someone was asking for it here, HPC. Yeah.
Oh. My name is Yuel Tandronga. I come from Government Trang Banat College. I am a student of first semester BCom. And I have a general question for all of you. Half a decade back, I had a plan of digitalizing the whole market, the market system. I mean, the grocery market in Aizawl. And I asked if that is possible. I had a plan. And I even took initiative. As a class 9 student, it was during the lockdown. And we were all during the pandemic, and it was on lockdown. So I had a plan of this cutting off the middlemen between the actual farmers who work hard to produce us foods, and us, the consumers, are paying more than 40% of the actual price the farmers are charging. And I tried to make an application where all those products are being listed, and the consumers can buy it from their phone with the power of their fingertips.
Point. Well, do you have anything more to add
Yes,
apart
yes,
from the
yes.
feature? Yeah.
And I even contacted about 50 farmers at Sipir and at Sairang. I contacted them, and I even made a small this market system in my local area. It worked about 6 months, that market system, and due to the how would I say, due to the close down of lockdown, I had to go back to school and I have a question for Ms. Ruth. She talked about improving arts. I'm talking about both visual arts and performing arts. I, as an artist, used to work on commissions. I used to draw portraits of people, and I charge very less compared to those international artists. And I am very, very depressed about that. How can we use these platforms? How can we use these professional freelancing platforms like Fiverr? How can we better implement it?
Very good. I'll just quickly address, and I just want to say one point. Let's all be quick to the point henceforth, all of us. Let's not drag too much of the time, because we all should be speaking, as we were saying. And quickly speaking, have you heard of a thing called farm cart by any chance? Okay, so sadly you don't do your research quite well enough, because there is a guy who is sitting right in front of you who is trying to solve the exact issue you're saying. So he's building it, so I will quickly give him a time to do that, but then sometimes it's like things are a little bit difficult to execute because of money constraint, human power constraint, and most importantly, the farmers have to learn to agree to accept agreements, which is very difficult. I think I'll just quickly give the mic to the person in front of you. He will tell you all you want, but then in let's say 30 to 1 minute max, sir.
All right, sure. Let me, 1 minute. Go 1 minute. All right, that's great initiative you have there. If you haven't downloaded the FAMCART, FAMCART, just download it. You'll see whatever it is. Groceries at your doorsteps, vegetables at your doorstep. We're trying to solve the problems of vegetable supply chains and groceries, and we've been doing that for the past 2 years now. With the apps, it's going to be 1 year this August. So yeah, and it's a difficult problem to solve. It's the most difficult, one of the most difficult problems in the world with its durability, and yeah, but it has a potential. It has a market potential of around 14 crores, especially just in Mizoram per month. So potentially it's there, but you don't talk about potential like that. It's not that easy. So yeah, it has potential. If you like to, you can come and just see what we do there. And we always welcome interns, but the thing that we do are still at the ground level, so we have to move around a lot. It's little to do with technology, because we have our technology teams who are taking care of all those stuff. So talking about that, it has a huge potential, especially, and like I said about SaaS and everything, even e-commerce and marketplaces, it's coming up, I think in another 2-3 months, that we have prepared for the local shops, and trying to solve this kind of things digitally, and it's kind of hard. But one thing I just want, I'm not going to stand again. Even if you call me, I'm not going to stand again, because this is my 3rd time. So I just want to say that the mentality, I just want to say that one thing, the mentality should be, I mean, like what we see as a question is more about, getting jobs. If we turn that around a little bit and just focus more on creating jobs, I think that's where we stuck kind of right now. Even the whole, the education system as well. You just have to think about, more of us have to think about creating more and more jobs, creating companies or such, getting more startups, because we need more talent there. We talk about government policies and everything. Unless and until we have talent in that scope, it's not going to happen. And we just need people there, talented people there, who are willing to risk everything we talk about. I think Makimi was talking about, people investing and just being very aggressive about it. So we need people there. We need more talents there. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I would just like to quickly add there, like a very big problem, which I think we all have to think forward is, like in his space, the space which you just mentioned, VL, is the fact that the farmers, the education level which you have at the ground level is very difficult. Let's say one day you go and say you have some agreement with him, but the next day I come along, Sir Mapui has some agreement signed yesterday, next day I come along, I quote him a lower price, they'll just give it to me. So that kind of awareness has to spread more. I think that's where we'll have to really learn. Okay, again, to the floor, and quick and brief. And
okay, my name is Samuel Vanarosaka. Come from Government Aizawl College. So this is a question for anyone who can answer this. I believe that cybersecurity is essential to consider when talking about job opportunities, especially since most tech companies require cybersecurity experts, right? So with the emergence of AI and machine learning, my question is whether Mizo youths who are interested in programming or coding should prioritize focusing on AI and machine learning instead of studying cybersecurity. Will AI ultimately reduce the job opportunities in the field of cybersecurity?
So the best hackers are those with no degrees. And those get jobs as chief security officers, including with the US defense ministries. So I hope that makes you start to think a little bit about cybersecurity. This much I can say, that the job in cybersecurity will be enormous. There'll be a lot of jobs.
I completely agree with Udin Kima. It's like that Greek mythological figure, right? If you cut one head, then 7 comes along. So I think it will always come with that, consequences. And I think what I want you guys to think differently is, when you talk about AI, there are 2 things, like 2 platforms. You have your platform creators, and you have your enablers. And I think it's better and it's more feasible if we focus on being an enabler. For example, I'll give you one thing. Let's say if you're an app developer, you're developing on a framework or with a language, Python, Java, C++. Don't try to create C++, a new C++, or a new Python. That's not going to make sense. It's not scalable. But instead, learn the language and see what you can do with it. Right? So when we talk about AI, I presented a slide with around 50+ companies. Don't focus on trying to build AI products from scratch. I mean, if you can do it, then that's great. But not everyone can do it. But I think it will be an easier route if you focus on, okay, how can I be an enabler in this? The value addition piece. And because there will surely be a generational gap, right? The things that our parents knew and the things that we know, the generation gap is, the divide is real. And it will be worse for the subsequent generations, right? So I think we should focus on that piece. Yeah, thanks.
I forgot to answer. The other part is that AI will certainly take the lower end of the cybersecurity jobs over time. But that is the nature of technology, that it will constantly chip to take the lower level of jobs more and more. That's why you therefore then have to focus on the higher end eventually.
I will take it here first and then here. Okay, go.
Okay, good afternoon to everyone present today. I am very honored to be present at this amazing event. My name is Van Luanga. I am studying Bachelor's of Business Administration at Patsunga University College, 3rd semester right now. My question is regarding the youth. How should we develop the mindset of entrepreneurship in the youth? Because as Ms. Rokimi has mentioned, a lot of our youth in Mizoram have been trying some business ideas on their own, such as handlooms and making cakes and anything they can sell. But I feel like that's only a small margin of the youth. A lot of the youth are still just loitering around, wasting their potential and on addictions such as drugs, video games. They're all addictions, I believe. And how can we put the entrepreneurship mindset? How can we take initiative to develop that mindset within our youths? That's my question.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. I think that's a really good question. And it's difficult to answer. Like, where does one get motivation, right? I think a large part of it is exposure. So I think you're as good as your friends are in some ways, right? Like, if you're in a friend circle where nobody's planning to get a bachelor's, like, it's okay not to get a bachelor's and so on. So similarly with entrepreneurship, I think it's good to have sort of programs where colleges are exposing kids to the idea of small-scale startups like you talked about, and also to the bigger ones like I talked about, and sort of sow that seed in people's heads. And then secondly, I think you said, how do we get people into entrepreneurship? I think now mostly there's a lot of acceptance, but at the same time, I was talking to one of the guys in your careers office at PUC, and he talked about how even parents have a hard time accepting when their kids are going to go into something that's not government, you know? So we have some ways to go with that, but stuff like you guys being here today and us talking about it and having more and more of these programs, you doing internships like I talked about, like work experience, and you know, getting out of your room in the summer where you're just holed up playing video games. I know, because you know, I've seen it too, but just getting people out there and being active. And it's very unusual, like in the US, for example, to have a summer off while you're a student. Like, people are working, you know, so just, I think that's a big part of it as well.
Very small intervention to this. I think glorification of local heroes is going to be essential if you want to have a ripple effect. People like Fela need to be discussed not only in the intellectual circles, but around. Gossip is one of the best way where the words travels, and that is what we need to do. We need to talk about how someone made this amount of money, success, admiration. Therefore, through any mechanism possible, through social media, through state-funded campaigns, through whatever local news media, we need to talk about local heroes. And that's going to, I think, really get the ball rolling fast.
I think that's a very good point, mate. I just want to add one more thing regarding what they both said. One is a local hero, and the other thing is, I think it's important that you all, as youth, go walk around. Sometimes it's not easy to be a founder. It's never easy to be a founder. We talk about being the boss, but being the boss is never easy. But then you have an opportunity, immense opportunity, just to go for internship, as they're saying. Even here, locally, you go to his startup, you go to mine, go to there, and then have experience, garner a lot of experience, go to him, via online. I think that's what the youth has to do right now. It's just not trying to start their own thing. Just go to the people who have already started it. Don't do the same mistake which people have already made. So learn from them.
Just in continuation to what you said, India has one of the lowest interstate mobilities amongst its youngsters. That means people are not traveling. You need to, this might sound slightly audacious, but leave your homes, stop living with your parents if need be. Go and, find yourself a rental apartment in a big city. That's a learning, That's the first deal you crack where you don't have the right kind of documents, but you need a place to stay. Try and crack that job and then move from one place to other. Getting out of the comfort zone is going to be the most important lesson, and the earlier you make it, the longer you're going to travel and the higher you're going to succeed.
Well point. There.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Neeta Upadhyaya. I'm from Delhi University, but I'm currently interning at Tilly. So now I have I have a question and I have a few points. So which should I, what should I do first? The question? Okay. So my question is to Puram Sangha. Okay, sir. So you said that NSCD and LESD are collaborating, right? Yes. So in the morning, I checked the NSDC website, and the only report I found was from 2012. So given that the Industry 4.0 has been around for over a decade, I was just wondering how long it will take for its implementation, especially now with the KMTTP coming around. I think more jobs will be created, so I was just wondering that.
NSDC stands for National Skill Development Corporation. It's the private arm of the Ministry of Skill Development. It's a mixture of corporation and government staffs combining together, seeking funds from CSR and all those avenues. Actually, the thing that I mentioned today is a very new initiative. It must not have been in their website. But if you Google it, you'll surely find it. That MOU has been signed between LESD Department, State Government Department, NSDC, and Medhavi Skills University for the COE, Center of Excellence in Skill Development. And the focus is on tourism and hospitality, which are in high demand in several countries. So it's quite a new initiative. Regarding KMTTP, those things are the domain of the Home Department, international connections. Several things are going on. Some obstacles are there, but very soon, once Myanmar situation improves, we hope that the highway, the dream highway, will be functional.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so just a few points from not taking up much time. So, sir said that we can't really depend on government for entrepreneurial development, right? So, for this, I have a point that what we could do is we could implement the triple helix method, because it can tap into the, like us, the youths, right? Like we can be resources for that. And then, because what I was thinking is that I don't think as youth we are afraid of AI necessarily. I think it's more so about people who are already in the job force. And like Sir was saying that we need 3 different skills, right? Because the thing is that we're pretty much used to AI. We use ChatGPT for assignments. But like when it comes to people who are already in the job force, right? They need reskilling. So I think instead of like more focus on youth, it should kind of be on people who are already in the workforce who need reskilling. I think, yeah, I'll conclude it now. What Sir was saying that we don't have funds for, like here, especially in Mizoram, we don't have funds, right? He was saying that. But like from my research at Tile, I found out that if you're connected to DST and if you're a technologically business incubator and if you're recognized by DST, you don't have to pay taxes. And along with that, incubators like Tile and Mizoram University, they're already providing you with a lot of funding for your startups. So I don't think it's the funding. I think it's the innovation, because if like ma'am said, that it's not funding, it's innovation, because that's the only reason they're not kind of getting to unicorn stage. So that's it. Thank you.
Very good. You said you're not speaking anymore.
No, I have to again. Sorry, I'm sitting now. So yeah. We're talking. I mean, like, good point, very good point on many of the funding parts, and starting up, having a funds and all. It's not that difficult. I mean, like angels, investors, or at least your own from your funding. Startup from your own pocket. It's not that difficult, but when it comes to scaling, that's a different game altogether. So it's not that you cannot start a startup without a fund. I've always been saying that you don't need so much of a capital to do whatever you want to do. But then the questions comes when you're starting to think of scaling your business, going towards the market, entering the market and make it profitable. That's where you need funding. And that's where I was saying that, where government can do something with making the whole state more investor friendly. That's what I'm saying. So we have to look into that aspect. Otherwise, I don't think it's lovely to talk about it. I used to, write on my Instagrams about unicorns and having an IPO here. I mean, I'm still trying to have the first IPO here in Mizoram. That's the goal for sure. But it's easier said than done. And just to have your, just to have your company up to that level, it's still a challenge, and the scalability is up for question. So, yeah.
I feel like you're talking about sort of different stages, and you're both right. And so Pumapwe I have great respect for. He's an entrepreneur and an investor, sort of like triple, quadruple threat. But earlier what Udin Kima had said, I lean towards more. I think it was Jack Ma who said something like, growth happens despite government, not because of it. That's sort of his view. Like Alibaba didn't happen because, like somebody helped him out, or that's what he was trying to say. And I think that's a little extreme. There's a role for both, obviously. What the government has done here, we need to be grateful for, and it's done a lot of awareness raising and seed capital and sort of pushing people that are already existing. But like what you just said, to scale, I think you're good. For that, we need sort of seed, angel funds and VCs. And right, yeah, and that's sort of just the next stage that we need to get to.
Okay, fair point. Here, I think there's a question or a point. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zoman Kimi. I am studying in Government Shangbana College. Youth lacking access to land for farming. My question is directed to everyone who is willing to answer. Other than family succession on farms here, so how can you help youth interested in agriculture development to have access to land for farming? Do communities have access to land that they can provide for youth interested in farming, either through rentals or grants or other mechanism? And how can we implement technology in farming, because we have a disadvantage in Mizoram, because Mizoram is a hilly area. Thank you.
Okay, if you address.
Actually, because of the separate, special nature of our polity here, the land belongs to community many times, mostly. So if you have a compelling reason, this is a little bit to do with community. But I think that is one thing to encourage, is where if people are interested in agriculture, right, there's also a lot of, if we talk about policies from the last 70 years, more than good policies of the world. So this is something which will benefit if there's like some specific constraints that you face. Is it just the land? Like we have so much land at this moment per population.
I'll just add on that. So also the fact that land acquisition system here is kind of quite lenient and not that difficult actually. If you if you operate outside of Aizawl, then it's even more easy actually. But then I just want to regarding the land, just take that as a point that it's doable, if I have to say. But the more critical thing here is, as you rightly pointed out, we are in a very hilly terrain, and then we are in a far-flung area, and then the cost of operating an agricultural business, trying to give it outside of the state, cost of the whole operations is very, very expensive. So unless and until you're working with some premium crops or something which you can pay premium for, personally don't think it's not a very viable high value crops, premium, and all those things. If you do that, then maybe you can sell it to other countries inside of the region as well, because otherwise the cost of operating an agricultural is kind of quite not sustainable. You can do it for a small scale, that's obviously doable, but I think it's important that we all know, and in the future, like people coming, watching from the online now and later on also knows that, it's key, it's vital, but then it's not really the thing which I think we should be doing. We should be focusing on things of Industry 4.0 materials, where we don't need so much of raw material supply, but then we can explore with our human talents. BPO, we talk about tech, we talk about talents. I think those are the spaces which I think we should work on, and I'm just expounding that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of agriculture, I'll float one business idea. If anyone wants to take this up, I think this has a good potential. Look into agri-tourism. Right, you don't necessarily have to buy land and grow crops, but look into agri-tourism. It's booming in central India, northern India, southern India. What you can do is, maybe if you don't even have land, partner with someone who has a farmland, right? And if he has let's say a simple, good enough farm, right, a cottage, maybe improve it, invest some amount in it, list it on TripAdvisor, Airbnb, and market it to the central Indians, because you wouldn't believe what my friends say whenever I upload my stories from my balcony view. They are always wonderstruck. So I think there is a great potential in agri-tourism, and it's up for grabs.
Okay, last few 2-3 questions we'll take, or discussion points. If anyone wants to just take, yeah, go ahead.
I am Lalmangay Dronga. I'm currently studying government Aizawl College. And please, to answer my question, what is the greatest barrier that has kept the Mizoram youth working from in corporate world?
Yeah, so I get to say something that I didn't have time for. I think our education holds us back a lot. I love hearing you guys talk. I think everyone in this room today is amazing. You're so articulate, right? But I think you're not the norm in your colleges. I think they sent their best guys, maybe. I think it's one of those things where we're really stuck in rote learning, and so we don't have a lot of practice in our education. Not all of them. There are some really good innovative schools right now, especially in Aizawl, but just on average, say 80%, we're stuck with by-heart system. So people are graduating, like we said, it's difficult to have CV writing skills, but it's also difficult to do an analytical interview where somebody is asking you questions on the fly and you need to answer them, and also to arrive at that job and to be able to read information, understand it, analyze it, write about it, all those things where I think the people in this room probably don't have a problem because you're all very articulate, but on average, we're a little stuck with that because we have so many people going in, like in Goa, Bombay, we have waiters, we have people working on cruises. It's not that you guys aren't willing to go, it's just that a lot of them don't seem to be reaching for the corporate jobs, I think partly because they're not able to. Secondly, I think there's probably some room for a lot more career guidance in our society. I don't want to point fingers, but I think we can all play a part, lots of stakeholders, right? Like Tilly can play a part too. The institutions can take a part, the government can take a part. Yeah. I feel like everyone else is gonna want to comment on this.
We'll check it at that. Since everyone is wanting to comment on it, we'll just skip to the floor a little bit and then maybe we can revisit it. Go ahead.
Hello. So this is a question for Mr. Okimi.
Put your mic up a little bit, please.
Wait, let me introduce first. I'm from Pachung University College. My name is Alming Moylondo, and I'm studying BCom third sem. Can you all hear it? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is my question for Mr. Okimi. This is the unicorn part. So, do Mizoram have made any social media applications that runs throughout India that became famous? from my point of view, I don't think that they had made that kind of social media applications. So if we can make that, do you think that it is possible to make it? And if we make that, how will it affect our society or youth to become more on entrepreneurship? Thank you.
Okay. I think the question's about making social networking apps that can go national, right? I haven't thought about that space very much, but of course there's potential. I think one thing that I want to talk about is Go Billion, which is one of the, guys can Google it later. It's a startup. One of the founders is Assamese, right? And so they are gonna work in the, again, retail space in the internet, which you think is really crowded because there's Amazon, Flipkart, etc., like we said. But so this young Assamese guy and his partner have made a pitch to let's make shopping social, right? So it's a new idea. Like we already have so many shopping apps, but they have a slightly different idea, an innovative idea. And they're already raising tons of funds. They're being incubated at Y Combinator in San Francisco. So like, why not you with a social idea? And I don't know what the innovation would be. I think you have to think about that and do some deep dives. But I feel like in any space, my answer is sort of why not? Just let's do something different that's going to help you capture market.
Well, Kima has built a gaming company and sold it, right? So that's an example.
Something that's doable, of course. Someone in the premise here has already done something about it. So yeah. Next.
Can I share?
Yeah.
So recently, I traveled to Rajasthan. I went to Singapore and I went to the mall and I observed something very interesting. So at the center of the mall, they have something called future skill. And out there, like there were this, not exactly kiosks, but counter kind of like around 5 counters. And out there, I went near to see like what it was about. And it was like, I don't know who introduced that, who did the initiative, but I think it was the government. And out there, each counter had like a course, so that the citizens or the youth who are walking throughout the mall, they can just go to the counter and see like. And each counter would offer a course like maybe AI reskilling, upskilling for nursing, and another counter would be like AI for like upgrading your technological skills in food processing, for example. So each counter had like different like industry or like occupation. So I was just thinking like even when it comes to inspiring our youth, like. Maybe the government, not the government, but even like, like maybe some NGOs like can also, create that kind of ecosystem, like even maybe in the mall where it would be accessible, not just available, but accessible to the youth. So that was quite interesting, yeah.
I just want to highlight, failure, embracing failure, failing fast. Because some of the unicorns that I think Rokimi mentioned, like Nika, I mean, is it viable? I mean, Falguni, I think, the founder, I mean, it's lost 60% of its market share from its listing price. I mean, you put up like Baiju. I think Baiju is very well known, but it's in trouble. I mean, so you have to think viable. So we have a lot of young people here with so many ideas. The person with the blue shirt, I didn't get your name. So you had this idea. So go for it. Go fail, you learn. And so in this culture, I think we have to not be embarrassed of failure or, stigmatize it and, just fail fast. Because that's even the unicorns, they are still yet to fail. I mean, is Uber sustainable? So that's...
I mean, before we go towards the IPOs, the most important thing that all of you youngsters should take back with you is just make the move. Start. No, trust me, no one has the blueprint. No one can guarantee you this is going to work or this is not going to work. That's the biggest. So be very confident, outrageously confident about what you want to do, and just do it. Trust me, even if you make a mistake, no one's going to remember that after a week's time. So make the move.
I just want to make a very point about failing, right? So when I started a game development company in Mumbai, it was like a bootstrap startup thing, and we were in an incubator space where there were around 10 to 15 other startups also in the same office floor, right? And we used to share resources also. And being in that incubator was very helpful because some of the startups were failing. We were also learning from their failures, right? It was not just our failure. I mean, we didn't fail, luckily. We got selected for Startup Chile. I'm sure you know Startup Chile, right? We were one of the 100 companies around the world selected for that. And we saw many of our startup friends in the same office building failing. So that's what I just want to add to that. Experiencing failing is good, but being in an incubator is even better because you are experiencing the failure of your friends in the thing. And that is even a bigger lesson for you to learn.
Very nice. I think we'll look to closing it, and then I was thinking like we should make something like a communique, which is going to come out all of this. I was just making some few points, and I just check with my team, Scarlett and Musty, you're there. Please note this part quite well so that we have it well recorded, okay? So I was before I go into the points, which I think we will just contribute the points together again. First thing is regarding the incubation, which Mr. Kima was mentioning, and regarding failing. I just want to quickly address this. The whole purpose of we risking this Delhi center right here is because we want to create an environment. It's not something we think is going to make going to break everything right away, but then we just think that if we create an environment for the youth, for the people, and then try learning from one another, because no one in this world has gained success on their own. It's always in teams. So we have to find that right person. Our environment is very important. One reason why the people from here we can't stand up is because our environment has been very, very backwards since forever. Now we're talking about an environment which is like going to expose us like anything. So we have to kind of go around that environment where we can think like the people who is like out there. So we are already there. We are the there part. So in that there part, let's try working on that. So for that, let's get together more, come here more. Like I'm inviting for the people who are going to watching right now, and in the future also, come to our center. It's in Mission Veng, Aizawl. If you're located in and around Mizoram, you can always come here. Let's create an environment together. That's the whole point of we trying to do something here. So I'm just creating that invitation right away. And regarding failing fast, I think it's very, very important for a startup. Like I'm also running a startup right now. It's called Adumavar, and you may also install it. It's operating on the lines of Mr. Mapuya's, where we're just trying to disrupt the market a little bit. You can install it, okay? You definitely should install it. However, what I'm just trying to say is, if we're going to fail, I also really want to fail fast. Because right now we're going a little slow because of our few challenges which we have in our setup. But it's important that we go try out things, get it fail, then move on. If it's not going to work, let's not make it work. If it's going to work, let's jump. So I think that's very important from that context. So I just want to mention those 2 points, regarding those 2 points, the last 2 points which has been raised. Now I was just noting down few points which I think were coming out of the whole discussion which we have. I will just ask each and every one of us to contribute to the points so that we can have something like a communique which we can circulate or put it up, or so that this whole meeting makes sense at the end out of it. So we want to have something out of it so that you also be a part of this. Basically, the whole of us are a part of this communique which we most likely will be making. So I think the one thing which we address a lot is regarding the policies. Policy versus infrastructure, we talk about that a lot, and then we had several viewpoints that policy has to support. Some saying policy is not the key point, we have to try sprung it up on our own point. I think as an entrepreneurial ecosystem, I kind of err towards the latter one where we have to try to sprung up, but then infrastructure has to be there regarding power, regarding electricity, regarding internet. I think these are the key 3 things which has to exist. Upon that, we can build. I think that we all agree to it. If there's any disagreement, whatever I say, if there's disagreement, just raise up your hand and have your point, and then we can move on like that. I believe that's fair for everyone. Okay, that's the first one. And regarding one young guy over here mentioned about LinkedIn, where we have to all learn to expose ourselves in a very formal way where we can reach out to people and people can also reach out to us as a talent. So we will try building that like an ecosystem and training in partnership with marketing most probably, that we do something on the lines of LinkedIn training and then so that any youth can join maybe an online thing, which I think we should be doing. That's another one. And then we talk about, it's going to be distributed because my points are not well structured at this point. So the other thing is regarding the vegetable supply chain and all, we address that a lot, and one of us here is already doing it. But then we talk about the farmer awareness for formality in terms of agreement. I think that's a space where our awareness programs has to run more. Maybe from the local private sector, I'm not too sure how much of government intervention can happen, but the local awareness in the rural areas has to happen a lot more so that we can have more of a proper chain, supply chain, which has to be existing. And then I think a great point made by Mr. Ali here is that Mr. Said here is glorification of a local hero. I think this is something which we can look forward to. I think you must be wondering today that you're seeing so many people who you don't know, but are so awesome. Am I right? Right? The guy who is building a mobile app and working out from a farm, doing amazing stuff here and there. And then Mr. Din Kima, who is like liaising with global political heads and stuffs. And God knows what he does. And then Mr. Okimi, who has been doing a lot of equity trading in all America, but then choose to be here to help us, apparently, hopefully. So yeah, a lot of varied people are there, and then there are much, much more. As Mr. Kima was saying, Mr. Din Kima was saying, we even try working out for that. We call it tiamna.com. Also, you should visit that and check out the people from Mizoram who has been successful or not. We're trying to build that ecosystem. Help us build it. Come be a part of it. Come say, I can contribute this. Come, can do this. I can do this. Come, we'll just let you do it. That's how we are supposed to grow in this environment right now. Okay, so that's another thing. And a very important point, I think, which Nita has mentioned is focusing on reskilling. Not just the youth is already very oriented to Industry 4.0, and they're bound to be oriented as we go along. But then the people who really need help is the people who are already in the workforce towards, let's say, 40+ age group, maybe, if we were to categorize it. So those are the things where we have to really focus, try to make them adopt to systems which are very key in the current world which we are going to go forward. I think that's something which we talk. And then the other thing which we talk about is entrepreneurial mindset. It come out somewhere from here. I think that's something which we have been focusing a lot as Tilly over here. An entrepreneurial mindset, we even want our government officials to have the entrepreneurial mindset because government is a space where you don't grow. Basically, the incentivizing structure is seniority. Why would a person go work so hard when if the guy next to him is just coming late every day, not working, maybe even drunk? Why would I work so hard every day when I'm not getting incentivized? So, but then even that, at that point, let's think for the society. As a government employee also, I would highly urge, let's have this entrepreneurial mindset where we are trying to bring change. We're not going there just to do the menial works which we are doing every day, but let's try making change, that have that entrepreneurial mindset. I think that's another point which we are saying. And then I started off by the failing fast, which I think is again very important, and the incubation thing. Basically, creating an environment amongst us is another thing which we can think about. Those are the points which I was... Yeah, collaborations is like something which we can look into. Any other points which is key to all of us, which you believe has to be a part of our communications which we are supposed to be making? Can you just check your mic just for...
That we have understood that there is also the downside to it, right? The loss of jobs, so on and so forth. There's a certain sense of fear when we talk of AI. This brings to bear a certain philosophical question. Do we then embrace it or do we sit out? We are already behind in it. And this is a juggernaut. We are not price makers in this game. We are absolute price takers, quite at the lower rung. Therefore, the philosophical question is, do we develop or do we retain whatever life we have, is, in my view, we embrace it. But we embrace it with a certain level of confidence. Having said, the important part is that there will be, with every technological development, there will also be losers. People who are losing out of the move from distribution to OTT. Even your middlemen that you're trying to cut out in your farm are also people with jobs. They're also losing out. Let's not forget that. So that's a conversation we must have as a society, but with confidence.
I think a point which we have to take away from that is, and which has been going on in the room, is like going out of our comfort zone, like going out of the area which is, we are so complacent about our place here in Aizawl and whatever cities and towns which we are living in. We just believe that's the world. And there's a lot more outside over there. Let's just go explore, go take a risk, go, maybe if 1 or 2 nights, go sleep in the gutter, maybe. Just expressing it a little bit extremely, but then I think that's where we gained experience and learnings. I think that's another point which we can have. Any other points which we want to contribute based on the discussions which we have? Let's not bring in a new point at this point. Anything you want to add? I think one thing which upon seeing Danny, which hits me is the being the enabler, is I think a very important point. Let's not think about building a new system in this ecosystem. It could be any application or it could be any system, but let's focus on creating new values. Unless and until we're not doing that, let's try making the most of the existing infrastructure. Mr. Puya was talking about how he was using Dreamweaver. It takes me back quite a bit. I was one amongst the early adopters when I was young, and we were learning all those HTML and stuff. Yeah. So now, Exactly. You can even build a website on command now. You just have to be like the example which Mr. Kima was doing, the tearing paper apart. We just know how to feed the AI system, and then we get the output. So let's learn that. Let's learn the best way how we can feed the system. Learning the way to feed the system is what we have to learn, actually. So that's another point. Anyone else? Apart from that, I'll call it from here, and then I'll request our member here to give the contents in English. Yes, I think another point is like being more comfortable in other dialects. I think Hindi is also a very important thing in the context of where we live in right now. Hindi is also very important. English, Hindi, we should be more fluent in this. We should be, like as Ms. Rokimi was mentioning, when we go for things like interviews and all, we don't have the power to convene ourselves, show ourselves. At many times we can't even express what we have done. So we have to learn to be more expressive with the command of language which you have, our body language, all those things I think can come inside that one. Anything else?
Is every new market you open. So go for Spanish, French, a lot of opportunities. Everything is available on the internet if you have the will to learn. So, yeah.
I think that's...
Our natural agriculture market is Bangladesh. So learn Bengali.
Yeah, those are also points which we can, based on the environment which we have been situated in, which is in landlocked between Burma, Bangladesh, and our other neighboring northeastern states. What can we make? Right now, we are in a very sad situation. As we all know, we are fighting for a situation here in Manipur. I think it's a good time to send out our grief and the sadness which we hear, and then urge whoever our policymakers, our stakeholders, to try and help them as much as soon as possible. So I think where are the things where we can make sense out of it based on the location which we have. I think that's another great point which has been added. Apart from that, I was having one point, but I missed it, but fine, I'll think about it. Anyone else? Otherwise, we'll look to closing the event. And then, though we're going to have our vote of thanks next, I would just like to say a very huge thank you to this side and even this side. It has been fabulous. It has been a very, very fabulous, few hours, I have to say. And then hopefully we will make the most out of this interaction which we have. And then I again invite you so heartily to come by here. Let's have more of discussions. Let's have more of discourse and all of this so that we have a growth, a better future for all of us, and then the people who are going to come after us as well. Thank you so much, all of you. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. It has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful event. On behalf of the 30th Hentu Dili, firstly, I would like to thank our chief guest, Mr. Lilramsang Asilo, Indian Revenue Service, for accepting our invitation and guiding us to success and for sharing his vast experience. As I say this, requesting our Dili chairman, Mr. Fela, to please hand over this simple memento as a token of our appreciation. Requesting requesting Mr. Fela to keep on standing with us to hand over the remaining memento to our esteemed guests. Next, I would like to thank Mr. Ali Sayed, Research and Information System Consultant, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, for giving us the opportunity to organize this Y20 brainstorming session. I hope this session will have a good impact not only to the audience gathered here today, but also to the viewers currently and later on via YouTube videos. Mr. Ali, I would then like to thank our respected keynote speakers for making time today and sharing their views, which I have to say are quite insightful. The role of Industry 4.0 in shaping advancement of socio-political, economic development and sustainability in the global ecosystem, and potential growth prospect and scalability of startup from Mizoram. What Mizo youths should do to best equip themselves in a world where we are currently witnessing another general purpose technology, as we say, GPT, and the implications Industry 4.0 tech have in this fast-paced global village ecosystem. We strongly believe this will go down as an important event for us. Please accept our simple memento as a token of our appreciation. Special guest. Mr. Din Kima. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. LTL Fela, Chairman of CEO of Dili Incubator. Let me take it forward by thanking him for leading our organization with great conviction and enthusiasm. Enthusiasm and making sure, that everything is there as per plan and managing all requirements for this event and in general as whole as well. We are heartfully grateful to all the special guests who shared their experiences as well as their visions for a better Mizoram and better shared world. We thank you for making time out of your busy schedules, and as mentioned earlier, we strongly believe your participation will not be in vain, in fact, be of huge benefit for our society here and our country at large. Please, Mrs. Rokimi, can you please come out? And next, Danny Mar. Thank you, Mr. LTL Fela. I want to extend a heartfelt thanks to all the invitees for attending our event. Your participation and support mean the world to us. We appreciate your time and hope that you enjoyed the event and found it valuable. Without you all, our brainstorming session would have a little and no value. Mr. Christopher Lalbiagnia, Secretary of Dili, for having a strong and enlightening opening to our session. Thank you for your dedication and commitment up until now from the day you joined and helping in making this program a stellar success. Last but not the least, we would like to thank the organizing team who contributed their valuable time that takes a lot of effort and organizing skills, who made the event truly successful. They have worked days overnight to make sure we all get today as we did have a fun, enjoyable, yet productive session. Finally, I would like to thank our video crew who have been truly understanding and helpful At the same time, there we would also like to thank Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports for live streaming this event in their YouTube channel. This would be really meaningful. As already communicated, even to our dignitaries and keynote speakers here, this is a very boutique event and we do not have enough funds to cover your time. As we tried our best to deliver as well planned event with whatever funds we got. Next time around, we would request the ministry to note the same. However, we have done our level best. We hope it is up to your expectations. And we have a light high tea session falling now. For all our awareness, our high tea snacks today has been provided by no other than our keynote speaker, Mrs. Rokimi. We hope we enjoy her work of art. With this, we have come to the end of the brainstorming session, requesting all to join for high tea this side. It's that side. And let's get to all know each other well. And last but not the least, we would also like to thank the power department. We have requested them and giving us for the uninterrupted power supply for this event. Thank you all.
Okay. Kan program chu zawa thing pui kha anung lama tangkhan du le Khamphei det mayulang in thengal de mai ta khan lo in serve la chuan tigan networking session anga ngai nga lila du kha a in biak thei ni te ka hrilang kha networking ka poimo kan ti to ang khan kan mang tangkai tho don ya